Marvel. Grabbed a drawer of Infinity Stones at the beginning. Chapter 1. I really don't want to hurt others. I really don't want to. Loki murmured with a somewhat bitter smile. The eyes of Loki in the picture are full of sadness, pain, and deep self-blame. He has killed many, many innocent people. Loki watched all the Avengers 1 to 3 movies alone in the archives, and booked the whole theater by himself, looking so helpless. He saw the future of everyone, including all his relatives, except his brother Thor, the god of thunder. The magic city of Dragon Kingdom. In a certain apartment, Chen-Chi watched the first episode of Rocky TV series in silence and couldn't help but sigh. Alas, all Loki did was long for his parents' love and equal treatment. Those actions that he considered to be a glorious mission only resulted in the murder of his mother. Chen-Chi saw his eyes slowly begin to change from Avengers 1 to Avengers 3. From regret, to emotion, to tears of joy, until his brother Thor crawled towards him and hugged him before his death, Loki finally got the greatest desire in his heart. He has died without regrets, he has let himself go, completed his own redemption, and he has forgiven himself. Maybe Loki's ending is pretty good. He at least got what he wanted in the main universe. Chen-Chi felt a little sad when he saw the lights of thousands of houses outside the window. He came alone, as if he had nothing, and nothing had much to do with him. Turning off the computer, Chen-Chi tossed and turned, but couldn't fall asleep. He suddenly felt very restless tonight, always feeling like something was about to happen. Forget it, let's go out for a walk. I'll be confused by watching a TV series. I'm really into the drama. Chen-Chi laughed at himself, shook his head, got dressed, took his keys and cell phone and went out. I walked to the small park next to the rental apartment, sat on a chair on the roadside, looked up at the stars, and let myself go, thinking about nothing, just in a daze. Chen-Chi, who hadn't been so relaxed for a long time, slowly fell asleep and seemed to become extremely peaceful. When Chen-Chi woke up again, he was not feeling well. Everything in front of him was so unfamiliar. He was still lying on the chair. What was going on with the tall buildings in the distance? What are the groups of blonde foreigners like? Have you been kidnapped? Which organization is so awesome that it can send you from the Far East to the other side of the ocean overnight? The key is that I was unscathed, and I wasn't kidnapped. I was just a poor college student who had just graduated. Kidnapping yourself is completely meaningless. Who would be so lazy? This is too outrageous, Chen-Chi muttered and cursed secretly. He stood up, rubbed his face, and prepared to go to the consulate. What should he do? Of course he went home. He was a blackmailer now, and only the consulate could check his identity in the Dragon Kingdom. Let them be sent back to their country. There is nothing to discuss. Just leave as soon as you say it. Chen-Chi knows that things should happen sooner rather than later, otherwise things will change. It's just, God, oh no, this place belongs to God, and his old man can't get along with him. Sir, please come with me. Misfortunes never come singly. As soon as Chen-Chi took action, he was stopped by a group of guys wearing strange uniforms. Why do these guys look so familiar? It seems like I have seen them before somewhere, but I just can't remember where. It's just that now is not the time to think wildly, so Chen-Chi naturally won't just surrender. He immediately shouted, "Who are you? Why are you arresting me? What are the charges for arresting me? Is there an arrest warrant?" No matter who you are, Chen-Chi just wants to yell loudly. Who knows if they are some evil organization? What if they catch him doing human experiments? In Langlang Chenkin, where people come and go, he naturally wants to shout loudly to attract other people's attention. Sure enough, the anomaly of these guys and Chen Zai's yelling immediately attracted the attention of passers-by. They gathered around one after another, no matter what they were doing, whether they were watching the fun or wanting to help. In short, Chen-Chi felt as if he had achieved his goal. This is not good, so several strong men shouted loudly. Hey, what kind of organization and bureau are you? Why do you have to prove your identity when arresting people on the street? You're right, if everyone is like this, enforcing the law and arresting people at will, who can guarantee our freedom and safety in life? Hey, these guys are unmoved. They must have unknown origins. They are not good people at first glance. For a moment, the crowd became furious. This is a free country in the United States. How could a kidnapping happen on the street? Especially the beauties with blonde hair and big were overflowing with love. They had never seen such a handsome young man from the East. If this is about being beaten and being tested on humans, then what's the point? This is not unreasonable. They almost rushed forward and tore them apart from these guys of unknown origin. Alas, foolish mortal. The leader shook his head and said something. Chen Shi suddenly felt something was wrong. This contemptuous tone and disdainful eyes could not be faked. Something bad is going to happen. Something bad is going to happen. Sure enough, the next second, he understood. You are the Time Variation Administration. Chen's eyes widened in disbelief and he screamed strangely. Few people in the audience understood what Chen Shi said. Only a few people felt particularly confused. What kind of organization is this? They had never heard of it. He is indeed the destroyer of the sacred timeline. You know so much. It's a pity that you should just follow us. You seem to be just a mortal. As for the leader, it is no surprise that Chen Shi is aware of their existence. The destroyer of the sacred timeline has this ability. What he was very proud of was how come this guy had no power at all, he was just a mortal. This task is too easy, just give out benefits. Then in full view of everyone, he threw out a time resetter and reset everything here. Then a door to another dimension opened and Chen Shi was escorted directly out of here. As for the crowd just now, they had already left as if nothing had happened. Their time had been reset, and it was as if Chen Shi had never been here. In an inexplicable space above the universe, Chen Shi suddenly appeared here. He was completely confused now. I have traveled through time. This is the Marvel world, and the start is very, very bad. He was caught as soon as he came up. This is really unlucky for anyone. What a shame. It was fine when I came, but I can't go back. Chen Shi just wanted to hit him to death. Who the hell would do that? Chen Shi, who had no resistance, was escorted to the detention room, where he met the third princess of Asgard, the protagonist here, Loki. Hey, kid, have you been arrested too? Loki was still relatively confident at this time. He felt that he could leave at any time, even if everything here was weird. Doesn't he mind playing with the master here and playing tricks with his god of tricks? He doesn't mind teaching him how to behave. Seeing Loki with a calm face and relaxed body greeting him with a smile, Chen Shi felt very sad. Hello, Loki, my name is Chen Shi. Now it was Loki's turn to be surprised. Does this big brother know me? It seems that Loki, the god of trickery, has quite a reputation. You can recognize yourself whenever you meet anyone. It's okay, it's okay. This feeling was so great, Loki smiled even more. The folds on his face could almost kill a fly. He stared at Chen Shi with a smile on his face and said shamelessly, Hey, kid, let me get to know you. When I have enough fun, I will take you away. When Chen Shi heard this, his lips twitched. This guy doesn't know that he is already a prisoner, right? It's just that we can't shatter the third princess's dreams so early. She has to be beaten severely before she can wake up. Chen Shi said against his will. Then thank God King Loki, the great god of trickery. Be good. God King Loki almost made this thing take off with this sentence, okay. It's like eating ice cream in the dog days of summer. Ah, good, Loki yelled, and his whole body was in a state of ecstasy. How long has it been since you heard this title? Today, I met a confidant in this cage. He was almost moved to tears. Family. This is family. Are the quality of fans now so high? Sure enough, human beings are much stronger than those guys in Asgard. Those guys whose heads are full of muscle speak so unpleasantly. Luo Ji, whose eyes were shining with excitement, grabbed Chen's hand tightly and promised repeatedly, Boy, don't worry, as long as I can figure everything out, I will definitely be able to get out, and I will definitely take you out when the time comes. Don't look at the fact that Loki can't use bullshit magic now. That's because the Time Variation Bureau only recognizes physical strength, and all magic and superpowers are useless. But he is also a member of the Frost Giant royal family, and his physical fitness is no worse than that of an Asgardian. Chen Shi, a mere mortal, grinned when he held him, and his face turned red from the pain. He didn't want to be embarrassed. At this moment, the sound of nature sounded in Chen's mind. Ding, it is detected that the host encounters the protagonist of the plot, the destroyer system is activated. Ding, an extractable character has been detected, Asgard's god of trickery, Loki. Will the host extract his genetic abilities? Extract, extract, Chen Shi shouted in his mind, can this guy be polite? Ding, I got the host's instruction and the system is extracting. Please wait a moment, host. Chen Shi doesn't understand anything now, he only knows that the system is really coming. The golden finger of the time traveler, he has no reason. Sure enough, the system will only be late, it will never be absent. Loki from the outside quickly calmed down and was still looking at everything here with a smile. He was inspecting the terrain and analyzing where this place was. At this time, Chen Shi didn't care that Loki was leaning on the door with his butt sticking out and looking out desperately. He was immersed in ecstasy. Because, ding, congratulations to the host for extracting Loki's frost giant physique. Do you want to fuse it? Stop, system. Is it particularly painful? I'm afraid that I won't be able to bear the pain and attract the attention of the guys outside. Chen Shi immediately calmed down after being ecstatic. Now is a critical moment. He has to consider various situations. He now unconditionally believes in the system. Why should he be afraid of any conspiracy if he is going to die? With my situation and my extreme luck, how much worse could it get? Ding, back to the host, you are thinking very well. After all, you are forcibly merging a powerful body, and the pain is unbearable. But don't worry, the host. The system can block all the host's sensory nerves, and the body functions will make the host faint, so that it will not attract other people's attention. The system's answer reassured Chen Shi. He had to be careful now, after all, he was on someone else's territory. He said in a deep voice, "System, let's get started. Wealth can be found in danger." He couldn't wait any longer. This was too dangerous. He could be killed at any time. Only strong power can give him some sense of security. Ding, the system has begun to fuse the frost giant royal family's physique for the host, and the physique is being fused. 10%, 20%, 50%, 70%, 90%, 100%. Under the intervention of the system, Chen Shi fell asleep, and the fusion was completed bit by bit while he was in coma, and it was quickly completed. Hey, kid, are you awake? Your mental quality is not good. Can't you handle such a small scene? When Chen Shi slowly opened his eyes after the fusion was completed, he saw a mocking Loki staring at him and laughing. It's okay. It was night when I was caught, and I fell asleep without paying attention. Chen Shi naturally won't tell the truth. You, an NPC, still want me to tell you secrets? Well, you should rest more. Now you can only wait for them to show up and see what tricks they play. Loki shrugged nonchalantly, rolled his eyes, and ran to the side to lie down and close his eyes. Well, I'm taking a nap. After Chen Shi finished speaking, he was immersed in the system. He now knew nothing about the system and understood nothing. System, tell me about your existence, your role, and what tasks I need to do. Chen Zai's question is very direct. Who are you, what benefits can you bring to me, and what do I have to pay? There is no free lunch in this world. Getting something for nothing is temporary, and only hard work will pay off. Ding, I don't have any records or memories of what the system is like, so I can't answer the host's question. The system allows the host to extract everything from others and bind it to the host. Of course, it depends on whether the host extracts or devours it. If it is a devouring ability, the host can knock the opponent into an unconscious state and forcefully devour it. After being devoured by the host, he will lose the abilities or items extracted by the host, etc. Of course, whether the system is extracted or devoured is random, and a person can only be extracted by the host once a month. Of course, if devoured, it will be once a day. As for the energy source of extraction and devouring, system points are required to extract each time. The stronger the individual, the more points are required. The energy source of devouring is biological energy. The more powerful creatures you kill, the more biological energy you get. Etc. Chen Shi suddenly interrupted the system's explanation. How do you get the points you mentioned? What happened when I just extracted Loki's physique? I don't remember that I have any points. Chen Shi himself is a 3-no product, a poor guy with no bullshit points, and he gets the top prize in the lottery. Returning to the host, obtaining points is very simple. If you change the fate of the characters and change the direction of major events, you will get points corresponding to the degree of change. The reason why the host was captured by the Time Variation Administration is that while observing Loki, they accidentally discovered the destroyer of the timeline, which is you. The host's points are naturally the system's reward for the host's novice gift package. Chen Shi was very upset when he heard this. Is this an unreasonable disaster? It is true that when a person is sitting at home, the pot comes from the sky. It turns out that when he appeared in Marvel, he was discovered by the Time Variation Administration. It turned out that it was all Loki's fault. In order to protect the sacred timeline, they observed Loki's every move and even exposed themselves. Loki, this is how sorry you are for me, you are a disaster. Chen Shi secretly made a note that he must return this unreasonable disaster. Then what should I do now? They will reset the time breaker, which means he will disappear forever. I can't just hang up here, and even though this hellish place is full of mortals, it's really so incomprehensible. Chen Shi is right, this ghost place prohibits all abilities, even Loki is just treated like a monkey. As long as he escapes from here, this group of mortals who rely on high technology will not be able to stop him, and then the sky is high and the birds can fly. He doesn't mind having fun with these mortals. Female Loki kills these people just for fun. As long as he goes out, he will have endless abilities at his fingertips. He can also kill them like trampling an ant to death. Wait, Loki, Morbius. Chen Shi suddenly remembered these two old guys who were plotting against each other. Mobius will be tricked by Loki, and Loki runs away with the female Loki to find the Guardian of Time. As long as you follow Loki, you can escape. As long as you are strong enough, Loki will definitely ask you to cooperate. Don't look at what Loki just said about taking him out. It was a bullshit joke. Loki, the god of trickery, is not a person who keeps his promises. Loki would be too busy to take care of himself later, and still relied on Mobius to survive, so why would he want to save him? Waiting a moment, Loki will be arraigned, and then saved by Mobius when he was sentenced to death. Then they go to watch the Avengers movie, and then it's all Loki's solo show. Those so-called Time Guardians were not created by the Time Guardians at all, they are just ordinary Earthlings. Then this Time Variation Management Bureau is interesting. They do not allow the multiverse mode to be turned on. It is questionable to protect the so-called sacred timeline. Chen Shi kept calculating everything in his mind. Combining the American TV series he watched and the analysis on the internet, he soon understood how to escape. Loki is about to be judged. Mobius saved Loki, tamed Loki to serve them. Then Mobius took Loki to watch a movie. Chen Shi even suspected that the trial of Loki was just a trick to trick Loki into joining the gang. Loki is not a good person. Mobius and him plotted against each other, but in the end Loki took away the time controller. Then his chance is when Loki creates chaos and leaves without anyone noticing. Yes, wait, it will be over soon. What nonsense is the Time Variation Administration? Can a group of mortals judge me? It's a joke. Chen Shi, who wanted to understand everything, breathed a long sigh of relief. It was absolutely possible to fish in troubled waters. Loki, Chen Shi. Just then, a voice suddenly sounded. It seems that everything is about to begin. Then Rocky, I will watch your performance next. Alas, you are a dead Taoist but not a poor Taoist. Anyway, you will temporarily belong to the Time Variation Management Bureau, and they will not do anything to you. Boom, with a loud noise, the heavy door was opened, making bursts of roaring sounds. Grandma Li, this door is quite heavy. Chen Shi and the other two looked up, and a dark-looking guy came in. You two come with me and accept the trial. This boy ordered unceremoniously. His attitude was quite domineering. For such a fool, Chen Shi really wanted to go up and give him a blow to cut off his descendants. However, a small impatience will mess up the big plan. He still doesn't want to be the one who stands out. He will naturally have the opportunity to mess with them in the future. Loki smiled with a spring breeze on his face, because elegance never goes out of style. He just followed the boy out with his inexplicable gentlemanly smile. Of course, Chen Shi also followed. They were one behind the other. As serious criminals, they had nothing to gain. Before they were judged, it was just like in the American TV series. There was a guy in front who was still yelling, but he was instantly reset to a scumbag. This frightened Chen Shi. He felt nothing when watching this scene online. Now that he was there, it was a strange feeling. This was a human life. He killed it as soon as he said it would be killed, which somewhat impacted Chen Zai's worldview. I was a good student who studied hard the day before and made progress every day. How had I ever seen such a murder scene? A living person just disappeared, turned into a pile of dregs. Strength, strength, this is strength. What would you do if it was your turn? Did you just disappear into the universe inexplicably? Come into this world alone, leave this world alone. Chen Shi clenched his fist tightly. Now, he is just like this mortal, he cannot control his life or death. I want strength, the power that surpasses the universe. The power that crushes this universe under its feet. I want this sky, no longer able to cover my eyes. I want this earth, no longer able to bury my heart. I want all living beings to understand my will. I want all the Buddhas to disappear into thin air. I want to be the person who holds the sun and the moon in my hands and picks up the stars. Looking down at the illusion and disillusionment of all things in the universe. Something called ambition slowly takes root in Chen Zai's heart. One day it will grow into a towering tree. When Chen Shi was brainstorming, Loki was also shocked. It wasn't that he was not used to killing people, but he lamented that this technology was a bit powerful. He is a cautious person, and he doesn't want to see if this thing hits him and makes him disappear. So Loki obediently took a number and began to wait for his own so-called trial. Chen Shi also took a number. He needed to wait and slowly wait for the opportunity to come. Even without waiting for Loki to take action, as long as he is imprisoned alone, he can instantly attack the Time Guardian, obtain the Time Controller, open the portal and leave here. Time flies very quickly. The next one is the trial of Loki. This guy is full of confidence. Isn't it just a defense? He doesn't need a so-called lawyer at all, okay. Isn't it more than enough to deal with these guys with my sharp tongue? Loki's performance is the same as in the American TV series. Anyway, this judge woman is no match for Loki. Lafayson, time prisoner number L1130, also known as Rocky Lafayson, you are accused of violating sequence July 20, 89. What is your defense? The judge looked at the file in his hand and looked up at Loki. Ma'am, God doesn't make excuses. This absurdist drama is very interesting, but I have to go. Loki smiled, tilted his mouth, tilted his head, and raised his eyebrows, completely ignoring her. Loki always thought this was a prank. The female judge didn't care about Loki's attitude. She had seen many people like this. The world was originally awesome, but now she has to act like a mortal here. Anyone who dares to pretend like this will not end well, so she still asked alone, so, are you guilty or not guilty, sir? Loki was about to tease her and looked at her with a smile. Guilty is the god of trickery. Is it okay to feel guilty that this is all boring? Can it also be charged with violating the sacred timeline? Absolutely impossible, you have arrested the wrong person. Loki fired a barrage of fire, which made the judge follow his lead. Really, who should we arrest? Loki said loudly. I think we should capture the Avengers. I was able to get the cosmic cube all because of their time travel. They racked their brains just to prevent me from becoming the Holy Emperor. This made the judge laugh. He is such a shameless guy. Are you a scumbag and still a Holy Emperor? She sneered. This accusation is not a small one. Haha, you can smell the perfume on the two Starks. If you are looking for time offenders, they are the time offenders. While Loki was quibbling here, Agent Mobius also walked in quietly, waiting for the opportunity. If you give me an army and enough resources, I can go back and kill them all. Well, Loki repeated his old trick and started to fool the nth victim again. The previous one was the purple sweet potato spirit. The black woman captain looked at Loki and was speechless. The contempt in her eyes was not hidden at all. This guy is so whimsical. The female judge said helplessly. This isn't about the Avengers right now. Isn't it? Loki shrugged. No, what they did was what should have happened, but your escape was not. The judge said righteously. Loki laughed when he heard this, his laughter full of contempt. He asked rhetorically, it shouldn't happen. Who stipulated it? Guardian of Time. Oh, Time Guardian, okay. Maybe I should have a god-to-god conversation with these Time Guardians directly. The judge smiled. This guy is so arrogant, how awesome is he? She said contemptuously. Sorry, they are very busy. What are they busy with? The correct flow of prescribed time. Another verbal battle ensued, and finally Loki didn't want to play anymore and was about to leave. I saw him open his arms and push forward. Once, twice. Well, all failed. Loki smiled awkwardly. At such a critical moment, the teleportation magic failed. Do you want to do this? How embarrassing. What is he doing? The black woman said disdainfully. He's trying to use his power. Okay, Loki cursed secretly, what a lousy place this is. Magic power. It's invalid here in the Time Variation Administration, Mr. Lawfeisen. This court finds you guilty and sentences you to resettlement. Okay, next one. Loki was a little panicked at this time, and he shouted, reset. What does that mean? Is it a bad result? What does it mean? You ridiculous bureaucrats, you have no right to decide my outcome. Loki began to struggle violently, but all he did was in vain, and the judge was completely unmoved. At the critical moment, Agent Mobius appeared, and it was his turn to perform. He stood up and said calmly, I know what he can do. Come closer and speak. After a while of blah blah blah, Loki was saved by Agent Mobius and taken to a home theater. The two watched several box office hits from the Avengers series. Mobius praised the filming as a good one, but Loki burst into tears. Then the two began to quarrel, but Loki, as the god of trickery, was still very capable. Taking advantage of the quarrel, he quietly slipped into Mobius's time controller. At this time, just like in the American TV series, the black woman captain came and called Mobius away and had a big fight. She insisted on killing Loki, because just now a small number of time guards were killed. In the end, the two failed to convince each other and broke up on bad terms. When Mobius returned to the projection room, Loki was nowhere to be seen, and the time controller in his pocket was gone. What a scheming liar. He was helpless, Loki was such a thief. At this time, Mobius was very distressed and called the black woman captain to lead a large group of people to find Loki. The chaotic scene outside naturally shocked Chen Shi. He gently asked a time guard somewhere in the waiting room. Hey, bro, is something happening outside? Don't ask how Chen Shi can communicate with this group of people, just ask that he is really good at English and can use it in the whole universe. HMPH, don't worry about it. It's not your business to worry about. If you are guilty at this time, just wait for the trial. This gray ghost naturally received the notice, but it had nothing to do with him. His job was to watch the time in front of him. Ouch, my stomach hurts. Can you please take me to the toilet? Chen Shi covered his stomach and started to pretend. Ha, boy, let's see what tricks you can do. Let's go. Gray Ghost snorted disdainfully. The guy in front of him was just a mortal, and he had already confirmed it when he was captured. Now you still want to fish in troubled waters. Let's see what kind of performance you have. The time guard pushed Chen Shi towards the bathroom. Whenever there was any movement, he would go up and give him a stick. This stick is a time weapon. Once it is hit, it can reset the stick, which means death. He even had a time controller in his hand, so what was he afraid of? So he watched Chen Zai's performance with confidence. As Chen Shi walked forward slowly, he carefully and quietly looked around at the surrounding terrain, passages, guards, etc. The frost giant royal physique makes everything about him completely different, whether it is vision, hearing, reaction, speed, strength, mental power, etc., it has increased exponentially. He has Loki's physique, so there is no problem at all in beating Captain America's Steve. Of course, the premise is that the American team does not activate the 50-50 attribute. Is the director really talented, forcibly giving such a ridiculous attribute? However, this is the real world, and the director has no final say this time. Chen Zai's eyes were like scanners, memorizing all the passages along the way, the positions of guards, and monitoring blind spots. Hey, kid, can you hurry up? Do you really think Loki will come to save you? Stop your wishful thinking, ha ha ha. The time guards taunted loudly, saying that they knew about Loki's previous conversation with Chen Shi in the detention room. He always thought that Loki and Chen Shi had made an agreement that now that Loki had run away, he would come to save Chen Shi. But he didn't care at all. With the time reset device in hand, he didn't take Loki seriously at all. Chen Shi didn't pay attention to this brainwashed clone. This thing was just a puppet that was worse than an NPC. We passed through 12 rooms along the way, with a total of 4 passages. Each passage has 2 time guards. It's a little difficult to get into the archives through the eyes of these puppets. However, now this guy is so arrogant and doesn't take me seriously at all. This is an opportunity. Chen Shi was slowly calculating in his mind, and he was ready to implement his plan. Loki can run away, so can he. However, he cannot return empty-handed. Loki can take the cosmic cube before leaving, so he won't get any benefits, right? He has already put his idea into the archives, where the infinite gems are a drawer. The Time Guardian here pacified all timelines, so he got countless infinite stones. Because this is a special world, infinite gems have no effect here, but in other worlds they are artifacts. Time passed bit by bit, and Chen Shi walked for a full 5 minutes in just 2 minutes. Go to the toilet door. There is no surveillance here. Here is your opportunity. In order to prevent Chen Shi from making any small moves, the Grey Ghost Time Guard naturally followed him. Hey, kid, hurry up, don't think of any tricks, I'll be waiting for you outside the partition. Grey Ghost pushed Chen Shi with a savage attitude. This guy already regarded Chen Shi as a dead person. Yes, sir, it's whatever you say. Chen Shi smiled with a smile on his face and looked very nervous. At this moment, Chen Shi suddenly shouted loudly as if he had seen something extraordinary. Sir, isn't that Loki? What, Loki? The Grey Ghost Time Guard was shocked and turned around quickly. Loki was about to commit a crime. If he caught it, wouldn't it be a great achievement? It was too late, then it was so fast. The moment he turned around, Chen Shi moved. With a swish, Chen Shi moved close to his body as fast as the wind, and instantly hit the Grey Ghost's waist with a whip. Bang! The Grey Ghost didn't have time to react. He was knocked away and then hit the wall hard, making a huge muffled sound. He never thought that this mortal could have such great power, but he was immediately confused by the violent Chen Ziqian. Chen Shi was unyielding. The moment he smashed the Grey Ghost away, he jumped on top of him and strangled him with the help of handcuffs with his handcuffed hands. All this happened so fast, in just 2 seconds, there was no time to react. Although Chen Shi lived in a peaceful era and had never killed anyone, fighting was the norm for him. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, the Grey Ghost's body began to tremble violently, and his legs began to kick around. He tried to survive, but it was of no use. His eyes began to bulge out, veins burst out, and his face was severely congested, like a cooked lobster. He wanted to shout out and attract others' attention, but unfortunately he couldn't do it. His throat was about to be strangled. He was in so much pain that he couldn't make a sound, just like a fish out of water, struggling and flopping. He also wanted to try to reach the time controller in his pocket with his hands. How could Chen Shi get what he wanted? Click. As soon as he reached out and made a move, Chen Shi hit him with a knee and smashed his arm. Chen Zai's strength is at least 30 to 50 tons, and his physical fitness is that of a time guard, at most a special soldier. This blow directly shattered his arm and fractured it. He began to tremble violently, trying to relieve the pain. The painful howl couldn't leave his throat at all, and blood immediately left all over the ground, dyeing it red. Click, PFFT. After a few seconds of stalemate, a sound like something breaking reached Chen Zai's ears. Oh, it turned out that the throat bone was broken. Then there was a pop, and blood spurted out, followed by a gurgling sound. The pressure was gone and it began to flow slowly. This guy died completely. He died due to carelessness and arrogance. Chen Shi couldn't bear it anymore and ran to the pool to vomit. He had never killed anyone before, and the killing made him feel nauseous, a little bit scared, nervous, and even more excited. He had no choice but to kill someone just now, because he came to the Marvel world, a world where mortals are as insignificant as dust. If he doesn't kill others, others will kill him. In order to live, he must kill, become stronger, kill, become stronger. He didn't want to be arbitrarily judged by the so-called guardian of time without any resistance. Chen Shi has lived at the bottom of society since she was a child. Life in the orphanage is so hard, with no food to eat or warm clothes to wear. Children from other families have parents who love them, family members who care about them, good food, and good clothes. Even if they have an ordinary family, they will not go hungry, cold, or bullied. But he can't do it, he has nothing. If you feel cold, curl up and endure it. If you are hungry, you can only drink cold water, which may make you feel better. When he was bullied at school, he could only beat him back even more fiercely until everyone was afraid of him. So what if there are more people and more power? He dares to risk his life. He only has this life to take action. Why aren't those students afraid of him? He studied and studied hard just to get rid of poverty, to avoid hunger, cold, and being bullied. He never bowed to fate, surrendered to life, and walked firmly towards the future step by step. Unfortunately, just when he thought everything was heading towards a better future, fate seemed to have made a joke. He was thrown into a world where human lives were like ants, and he was caught as a time criminal. And this organization is simply an evil organization, and all time guards are former so-called time criminal puppets. He is not allowed to embark on the journey again, he must survive. Call. After Chen Shi washed up, he took a long breath and looked at himself with disheveled hair in the mirror. He said firmly to himself, Chen Shi, we are leaving again. After saying that, he smiled at himself, now he could no longer look back. If you are born like an ant, you should have the ambition to be a swan. If your life is as thin as paper, you should have an unyielding heart. At this time, the system prompt just sounded. Ding! The host kills the Time Guardian and gets 10 points of biological energy. 10 points of bioenergy. Waste. Chen Shi curled his lips and muttered, what a piece of rubbish, just such bioenergy. After muttering, Chen Shi didn't care. No matter how small an ant is, it's still meat, and 10 points of biological energy can be considered a start. He quickly ran to this guy and looked at the miserable gray ghost. Chen Shi was not afraid this time. Everything is difficult at the beginning. You are the dead soul of my subordinates. Can you still jump up and down? Seeing this guy struggling in pain before dying, with eyes full of disbelief, Chen Shi took off his uniform without ceremony. He wanted to disguise himself, not to deceive everyone, but just to get close to one or two groups of people. Chen Shi took off the bloody clothes, washed them a little, and then put them on himself. If the brim of the hat is slightly lowered, others will not be able to spot him immediately. Then, holding a time weapon, he can deal with these guards in an instant. Leaving this guy here like this, Chen Shi walked out carelessly. He is now a time guardian. Hi, no, who are you? When Chen Shi walked to the first passage, he hesitated and stayed far away. The time guards did not see clearly who he was. When these two guys realized something was wrong, it was already too late. Chen Shi raised his stick and dropped it. Under the sneak attack, the two guys screamed and fell to their knees in an instant. Catch the assassin. There is an assassin. Chen Shi immediately yelled, catch the thief, and yelled at the top of his lungs. He was quite a thief and directly caused chaos. Sure enough, this time, it directly attracted the attention of everyone nearby, and the guards from other passages came over in a swarm. Several time guards were also found dead at the headquarters, and they were not sure whether it was Loki or someone else. The entire base fell into chaos, and Chen Shi took this opportunity to run away. Along the way, they met several waves of time guards. They were very surprised to see Chen Shi covered in blood. Are you new here? What happened in the front? They stopped Chen Shi and asked nervously. Oh, don't mention it. Loki is stabbing someone in front with a knife. I have to go for treatment quickly. You go quickly and don't let him escape. Ouch, it hurts me so much. I have to go for treatment, you go quickly. Chen Shi pretended to be injured in a fight with Loki, and his embarrassment covered in blood did not make anyone suspicious. When the time guards heard that it was Loki who had escaped, they told Chen Shi to be careful and go for treatment quickly. Then they ran quickly to the direction pointed by Chen Shi to capture Loki. Idiot, they are indeed NPCs. They have no brains. Gasoline can burn their garbage. If you lie to someone and still scold them, be careful. Chen Shi ran all the way. Time waits for no one now. Loki is unreliable. He is probably the same as in the American TV series. He did not escape at all, but wanted to kill the Time Variation Administration. Like a gust of wind, Chen Shi quickly arrived at the archives room, and at this time he actually saw Loki. Oh, fake. Your kid actually escaped too. Loki and Chen Shi naturally have the same idea. They will not let go of the Infinity Stones. The only difference is that Loki only wants the cosmic cube, while Chen Zai's goal is everything. Hey, Loki, you and I are not honest, your cosmic cube is right here. Chen Shi chuckled and quickly entered the archives room. He didn't want to argue with Loki. This guy's ideas and brain circuit were different from others. He didn't want to wade into troubled waters. Oh, shit, boy, wait for me, don't try to swallow the cube. Loki still regards his cosmic Rubik's Cube as a treasure, but he doesn't know that in this ghost place, it's just a paperweight. He cursed secretly and quickly followed. In the archives room, Chen Shi and Luoji rushed in fiercely one after the other. Hey, kid, give me the Rubik's Cube, or I'll disembowel you like a fish. What is a fish? Casey was speechless. He had no idea what a fish was. Loki's balls ached. He said angrily, how come you don't even know what a fish is? Casey said helplessly, I've been behind a desk my whole life. Oh, what's the point? Loki was a little speechless. What kind of bull and horse thing is this? At this time, Chen Shi stood up and said softly, Loki, don't ask, they have been brainwashed and their memories have been erased. What? Loki roared excitedly. Shish, why did I lie to you? Just don't be so scared later. Chen Shi quickly reminded Loki not to get excited, there will be something more exciting for you later. Casey is very knowledgeable, isn't it just the Rubik's Cube? It's just broken rocks. Just give it to you. Casey knelt down, opened the drawer, and handed the cosmic cube to Loki. The next scene really scared Loki. What? Infinity stones? He looked at the drawer in disbelief. It was colorful and full of infinite gems. What's going on? Why do you have these? Casey shook his head and said with a smile, we have a lot of them here, and some people use them as paperweights. After listening to this, Loki felt a little absent-minded and a little lonely. He rubbed these gems and began to move around. His worldview was completely shattered. The infinity stones they fought so hard to grab are so worthless, are they a joke? Is this the most powerful force in the universe? Loki murmured to himself, extremely shocked. He could not imagine how powerful such an organization was. At this time, Chen Shi didn't want to be in a daze like this guy. He shouted loudly, everyone, stand up, I don't want to kill anyone, I only want money and not life. All of you, just be honest and give me these colorful stones, and I won't kill anyone. Everyone, hurry, 1, 2, 3. Chen Zai's words made everyone sigh in relief. This thing is just a paperweight and has no effect. So they opened the drawers one after another, and everyone handed all their infinite gems to Chen Shi. Ha ha ha, okay, you are very obedient, and I am also a good person who keeps my word. You are free. Chen Shi, who was a robber for the first time, was extremely excited. Is this the pleasure of robbery? He loved this kind of robbery. The key is that what he robbed was the infinity stones. It was so cool. Chen Shi packed a large bag of infinite gems and ran directly to Loki, patting the lost Loki. Hey, Loki, are you leaving? No, Chen Shi, you go, I want to figure everything out. Luoji shook his head and rejected Chen Zai's proposal. Isn't this place full of challenges? Is this the most powerful force in the universe? Okay, whatever you want. I have to go. Chen Shi shrugged, not wanting to get involved with this guy with a brain circuit problem. Because that black woman is coming, and he has no time to wait. Okay, I hope we can see each other again. Luoji smiled and said goodbye to Chen Shi. And Chen Shi also directly used the time controller to open a portal and left directly. The moment Chen Shi left, the door to the archives room was violently knocked open. The black woman captain hit Loki with a stick without saying a word. The agile Loki opened the time controller's portal and left directly, returning to the screening room. Of course, everything here has nothing to do with Chen Shi. He has left that universe, but the devil knows which universe he has arrived in. However, let's make peace with what happened. He knew that the Time Variation Administration would find him, but he was not worried. Those guys are just ordinary Earthlings with stronger technology. As long as they are not attacked by surprise, he will be fine. When he gets stronger, how can he be caught like Loki? Do you think the Time Variation Administration has caught any great gods? Why didn't they catch the 5 creation gods? Why doesn't the Tribunal of Life arrest them? Why don't they arrest the Transcendents, Molecule Man, etc.? They just bullied the weaklings. He was also a weakling before and was caught. I asked, where is this place? Do you want to carry it on your back like this? Chen Shi looked into the distance and saw nothing. There was a desert with rolling yellow sand all around, and there was nothing. You fool, let's go. Let's walk in one direction first to see if there are any desert lovers. After muttering something, Chen Shi took a step forward and started walking in a random direction. What kind of crappy place is this? Why is it so miserable? Ding, back to the host, you have integrated the constitution of the royal family of frost giants. Although you are not afraid of such an environment, you will always be very uncomfortable with it. Okay, I guess so. Chen Shi said helplessly. He had a vague guess, and after listening to the system, it turned out to be the case. System, why haven't there been any changes to these infinite gems? As Chen Shi walked, he took out 6 gems and played with them. Not to mention, it looks really good and can be auctioned for a good price. At least 5 billion universe coins must be auctioned. There is no problem in buying hundreds of planets. Thanos, the Infinity Stones you have been thinking about so much, I still have dozens of them here. How about you touch it for a few months and then I'll give you one. Chen Shi suddenly thought about waiting for the purple sweet potato demon to come in the future. How about hitting him with these infinite gems? Or snapping his fingers? Hey, your gem is female, and mine is male. As Chen Shi walked, he let out weird gay evil laughter, and his smile gradually became abnormal. Ahem, Loki. At this time, the system also analyzed it. Ding, back to the host, the Infinity Stones are not in this universe. There are Infinity Stones in this universe, so they cannot sense the rules of the universe for the time being. After a systematic analysis, Chen Shi understood that they were all infinite gems from other universes. Isn't this just the magpie's nest? People have their own Infinity Stones, they don't need them, and they don't allow them to take over the rules of this universe. Chen's eyes balls are so painful, has he wasted his time? The infinite gems he worked so hard to grab are just a decoration. Oh, I'm a bit unlucky. Did I grab the glass beads? Chen Shi suddenly felt that the infinite gems in his hand no longer smelled good. Host, your idea is completely wrong. The Infinity Stone is the Infinity Stone. Even if it is temporarily useless, it is still it. How do you say this? Chen Shi immediately became energetic. When the Infinity Stones from other universes meet the Infinity Stones from this universe, they can be fused, making the rules of this universe even more powerful. When the universe becomes more and more powerful, it can also accommodate more powerful people, such as the future host. The ultimate mission of the host is to recreate an ultimate timeline and an ultimate Marvel universe. What? Chen Shi was so frightened that he almost broke his voice. System, your ambitions are really big. Create an ultimate timeline and an ultimate universe. Are you serious? Chen Shi asked in a deep voice. Of course. Will the host stay in a universe that can be wiped out by God for the rest of its life? Do you want to be killed casually? No, I don't want to. Chen Shi said decisively and extremely firmly. Ding, the host accepts the ultimate mission, recreates the ultimate timeline, and recreates the ultimate universe. As Chen Shi said what he meant, the system's cold tone sounded again. Chen Shi knew that there was no turning back from all this. He's had enough of being a dispensable ant. He wants to be so powerful that everyone, whether human or not, fears him. But he is not in a hurry. This kind of task cannot be completed in just a few decades, hundreds or even thousands of years. Chen Shi walked and walked. Anyway, he would not die of thirst or exhaustion. He has the physique of these so-called gods, how could he be trapped to death by such a harsh environment? Why do you say that the so-called gods, in Chen Zai's opinion, are such weaklings worthy of being called gods? The maximum power is only a few hundred tons, and it can't fly faster than the speed of light, which is embarrassing. I'm a little thirsty, too dry. As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Shi flipped over and a large piece of ice appeared in his hand. He put the ice cube into his mouth and chewed it. Well, it's not bad. The frost giant royal family has a pretty good physique and can naturally control water and ice abilities. After leaving the Time Variation Management Bureau, he finally felt changes other than physical changes. Without the suppression of his water and ice abilities, he used them naturally, which was pretty good. Although you can't ignore the law of conservation of energy and create ice out of thin air like the Iceman, it's not bad to be able to control them. Iceman is an Omega-level mutant who simply ignores the laws of the universe. In the comics, he can freeze time and space. How perverted. It's just that in the movie, he is just a weakling, nothing more. He is not Loki either. The frost giant's bloodline has been suppressed by Odin's seal, so he is complete. He condensed the moisture in the air into ice and ate it happily. In this big desert, it was so cool to eat ice. He didn't know how long he had been gone, but Chen Shi estimated that he had been gone for at least 3 hours. There are troops, mercenaries. Chen Shi looked down from a high place and directly saw camps, trucks, pickup trucks, off-road vehicles, etc. Although he doesn't know who the other party is, it doesn't prevent him from negotiating amicably. Can't he leave immediately? Thinking of this, Chen's eyes steps became faster. He rushed down like lightning and could finally leave. FAQ. Who is this? Hey, who are you? Are you looking for death? This guy is a little strange. How come this desert is so clean? The patrolling soldiers naturally saw Chen Shi running wildly with yellow sand flying all over the sky. It's hard not to notice the way Lahong appears. This is too arrogant. You don't treat us as human beings at all. Just when they were about to take out their guns and shoot to scare this kid, this daredevil spoke first. Hey, you are surrounded by me. Surrender and kill half of them. Chen Shi rushed to the side of these black ghosts, gray ghosts and white ghosts who looked like they were not good people at first sight. Then he started talking nonsense and spoke nonchalantly. What? Do your parents know that you are so stupid? The last one who hung like you, the grass on the grave was 1 meter high. This group of murderous mercenaries were frightened by Chen Shi. Do you want to be so conceited? Are you ignoring us? Are we so indifferent to you? This group of people is so angry. Who has ever seen one person surround hundreds of people? The leading boy waved his hand and roared. Fake, shoot, kill this pretty boy. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang. Following this boy's order, everyone pulled the trigger without hesitation. They couldn't bear it for a long time. It was so arrogant and infuriating. As the rows of fire snakes blazed with light, the smiles of these black ghosts, white ghosts and gray ghosts gradually became abnormal. Ha ha ha, this is the end of being arrogant. Ha ha ha, boy, don't be so arrogant when you go to hell. There are so many idiots these days. Then the next second, they were all dumbfounded. This kid was not beaten into a sieve, but like lightning, he successfully avoided all the bullets. He's a mutant. Quick, 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 he's over there, shoot. Stop shooting casually, aim for me. Everyone was panicking. Apart from mutants, they couldn't think of anyone else who could be so fast these days. What if we let this guy get close? However, their actions were useless, and they couldn't even see Chen's eyes back. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang. The bullets all hit the yellow sand, and the yellow sand splashed all over the sky, which was quite spectacular. Oh, the test is over. You are completely unqualified. You can't test your limits. No more playing, you all go to hell. Chen Shi suddenly appeared in front of everyone and said calmly. This group of mercenaries suddenly felt a chill, and their heads felt so cold. What? Oh God, fake, Holy Mary. The next second, they saw the most spectacular and last wonderful performance in their lives. Chen Shi raised his hands slightly in the air, and saw countless dense ice arrows suddenly appeared in the air, and they were already aimed at them. Go for it, Chen Shi murmured softly, shook his fingers slightly, and these ice arrows swished through the air and rushed towards the mercenaries. Shoot, shoot. Upon seeing this, the mercenary leader yelled wildly, trying to crush the ice arrows with bullets. His idea was right, but how many ice arrows could he hit? This group of people had been scared out of their wits for a long time, so they didn't throw their guns and run away because they were in good spirits. Puff puff puff, puff puff puff. The densely packed ice arrows instantly smashed these mercenaries into sieves, and the muffled sound of the ice arrows entering the body was particularly beautiful. Ding! The host kills ordinary mercenaries and gains 5 points of biological energy. Ding! The host kills ordinary mercenaries and gains 5 points of biological energy. Ding! The host kills the mercenary leader and gets 10 points of biological energy. The cold tone of the system was like the beating of money. No matter how cold it was, Chen-Shi was slightly excited. Money, money, money. These are all boom. A huge noise suddenly exploded where Chen-Shi had just been standing. Fortunately, Chen-Shi left first. There are still rockets. I underestimated you. Boom boom boom. Huge explosions sounded one after another, alarming Tony and Ethan in the cave. Are they fighting among themselves? Or is my rescuer here? Ethan, I think the latter is more likely. At this moment, Tony, who is unkempt and disheveled, looks like a savage. How can he still look like a playboy? However, he is still in the mood to joke now. It is obvious that the sound of gunfire outside lets him know that rescue is coming. Tony, I think reinforcements have arrived and we are safe. Ethan was also very happy. Great. No one wants to be a prisoner. This is not how people live. These guys are so barbaric. They are simply not human. They are not human. You are not even allowed to go out to use the restroom, so you can only do it in this cave. Forget it. What's even more disgusting is that they can only use stones. Stones. That thing almost scratches their flowers every time. He who is riding a horse should at least give him some toilet paper. Why don't he be so cruel? This day, he really collapsed. At this time, Tony snorted disdainfully. Haha, Ethan, actually I can take you out without their help. Seeing his fellow sufferer comrade Ethan so excited, the arrogant Tony immediately stopped doing it. Because their steel armor is about to be built, Tony believes that if he puts it on, he will definitely kill these mercenaries who abused them and send them to hell. For these guys, Tony couldn't wait to eat their flesh and drink their blood. He hated these inhumane mercenaries. Why is there no sound outside? Did you win? Suddenly, the sound of gunfire stopped. Let me go take a look. You activate the steel armor here. Ethan took the lead. As he walked out, he turned back to Tony and warned him that if anything happened to Tony, he was just relying on him to drive the steel armor. Be careful, Tony's concerned voice came from behind. They had been supporting, helping and encouraging each other for so long, and they had become good friends who talked about everything. Ethan suddenly paused, and then walked out with a firmer pace. He who knows his friends will die for his sake. Outside the cave, Chen-Shi looked at the corpses on the ground, his face slightly pale. Did you do this all by yourself? Killed all by yourself? Alas, who would have thought that a student who just came out of the ivory tower would be so cruel? Hundreds of people were wiped out in the blink of an eye. I'm sorry, you will never be the last batch. All my enemies will have only one fate. Looking at the devastated camp with mountains of corpses, Chen-Shi said with some emotion. He can't stop. He will die if he stops. Who are you? Are you still alive? The moment Ethan appeared, Chen-Shi sensed it. Whoosh. An ice arrow hit Ethan's forehead instantly with lightning speed. Plop. Ethan was so frightened that he knelt down. How had he, an ordinary person, seen such a formation before? It almost made him pee. What the hell is this magic? Forehead. Chen-Shi was stunned by Ethan's operation. He looked like an ordinary person, and he seemed a little familiar. Who are you? What's your name? Chen-Shi asked lightly. He felt familiar. It was a character. Looking at the environment, he seemed to have guessed what kind of ghost place this was. Big man, my name is Ethan, I was kidnapped by this group of mercenaries. Ethan was as frightened as a quail, his eyes were filled with fear, and he answered weakly and tremblingly. Oh, your name is Ethan, is that Tony there? Chen-Shi asked with a smile, the big dog is here. Yes, it's my lord, Tony is inside. Are you here to save us? Ethan answered truthfully. In his opinion, Chen-Shi was a strong man who was offered a reward by the outside world. When Chen-Shi heard this, he smiled and nodded gently in response. The mentally exhausted Ethan seemed to be resurrected with full blood in an instant, and his whole person suddenly became excited. He shouted excitedly and trembling. Great, it's great that you're here. Follow me, Tony is inside. Ethan was almost moved to tears. Benefactor, you're here, you don't even know what kind of life we're living. Excited, Ethan immediately turned around and trotted towards the cave. Tony, we are saved. Ha, Tony, come out quickly, it's safe outside. As he ran, he shouted in the direction of the cave. It was as if he wanted to vent his excitement and share this happiness with Tony. Really, Let's see who it is. It's so unprofessional to come to save the great Tony Stark so late, isn't it? Soon there was a response from the other side of the cave. Tony's always arrogant voice came out from the broken cave, and he seemed to be extremely unbeatable. Who, let the great Tony Stark see that I can recruit him at 10 times the price of the president's bodyguard and make him my personal bodyguard. Thump thump thump, thump thump thump. After a while, Chen Shi heard the sound of footsteps. He looked up and saw that the unkempt and disheveled figure was really confused. But he could vaguely see that this guy was the playboy, the bohemian Tony Stark. But now he is unshaven, and the classic mustache is no longer visible. He is just a beggar. When Chen Shi looked at Tony, Tony also looked at him. Looking at it, the guy was so awesome that he completely confused Tony. The guy in front of me is too young, at most 21 or 12 years old. He looks a bit bullying. How could he be so handsome? His looks will blow his mind. Fuck, isn't this a slap in the face to Tony Stark? Are you still allowed to live in peace? No, I can't let this guy be my personal bodyguard, otherwise those chicks will fall into his arms without turning around. His mind suddenly changed. Tony went off track again, and kept talking about his usual business of picking up girls. After sizing up Chen Shi and then looking around, he asked casually. Boy, where are the others? Why are you alone? He looked around and saw no one else. A battle of this level would require dozens of seals, right? Where are the people? Where are the people? You can't even see the ghost. Tony didn't believe the pretty boy in front of him. That's right. He was the pretty boy. He could kill more than 300 people. Tony, there is no one else but you. Before Chen Shi could say anything, Ethan quietly pulled at the corner of Tony's tattered clothes and spoke softly. What? How is that possible? Tony immediately exclaimed excitedly, it's impossible. Absolutely impossible. His disbelieving eyes kept scanning Chen Shi, as if he wanted to see through it. In his eyes, if this pretty boy has the ability to kill, he can only play with women, so picking up girls will be as smooth as ever. What if it's murder and arson? Forget it, who can I beat? Anyway, he would never believe it, unless… Whoosh. The next second, a sharp ice arrow hit his forehead. The cold ice arrow suddenly dilated in Tony's pupils. Fear also emerged. Death was so close to him for the second time. Tony almost peed in fear. I can't die like this. I haven't spent all my money yet, and there are still many girls waiting for me. When he thought of this, Tony surrendered and became scared. Oh, really? Do you believe it now? Chen's eyes' playful voice suddenly sounded in his ears. Believe, I believe it. Tony nodded quickly, already giving in like a quail. The dog's life is at stake, the dog's life is at stake. He is just a playboy now and has no fearlessness in sacrificing himself. In addition to picking up girls, his life is about invention. Of course, invention comes second. As he gave in, the murderous ice arrow slowly dissipated into the air, and the crisis was resolved. Phew. Tony sat down on the ground and gasped loudly, as if celebrating his survival and walking around on the edge of death. Ding! Congratulations to the host for rescuing Tony and indirectly changing the fate of Ethan's death. The host will be rewarded with 10,000 points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for slightly changing Tony's destiny. The host will be rewarded with 10,000 points. Chen Shi here also received a prompt from the system when Tony escaped from danger, and got 20,000 points. This wave is not a loss. But he also understood that Mao probably didn't have any points to change the fate of passerby. Even a supporting role like Ethan, who was at least named and named, was given 10,000. Putting away his thoughts, Chen Shi looked at Tony. The points were more important, but the next thing was more important. I will take care of the big dog, and Jesus will take care of it when he comes. Tony naturally noticed the strange look in his eyes. What kind of look did this guy have? Is he trying to eat people? Why do I feel like a big fat sheep? Yes, this guy looks at me like a big fat sheep. Tony was frightened, and he muttered secretly in his heart. What do you want to do? At this moment, he was like a trembling lamb, so helpless, weak and pitiful. He regretted that he came out without wearing steel armor. This was too passive. This also strengthened his determination to invent a simple steel armor in the future. What am I going to do? Chen Shi smiled mischievously and continued. why do you think I came all the way to save you? Is it for love and justice? Or for the cause of peace? Chen Zai's meaning couldn't be more obvious. Tony understood it instantly. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. Besides having many girls, Tony Stark also had a lot of money. Girls can also give you money. Money can also be given to you. Tony said nonchalantly. Tell me, how much money do you want? Tony Stark has plenty of money. Hey, this guy is really a big deal. I didn't want to charge you a lot of money, but your attitude will make it easier for me. If I don't charge you a lot of money, I will be sorry for your generosity. $1 billion, Chen Shi blurted out. What, $1 billion? Tony almost choked to death. $1 billion, why are you so embarrassed? What, didn't you ask me to speak casually? Are you, Tony Stark, a poor man? Are the Fortune magazines outside all eyes? Chen Shi pretended to be surprised and asked, then struck an army with his backhand. Impossible, Tony Stark has a lot of money. Hearing Chen Zai's disdainful voice, even if he knew this was the so-called provoking method, he couldn't bear it anymore. No one can insult Tony Stark with money. Hey, isn't that the end? Isn't your Tony Stark's life worth this little money? Wrong, my life is not small. My life is precious. When Tony heard Chen Zai's words, he immediately retorted loudly. His life is more valuable than anyone else's. Then it's over. Your life is very valuable, so the $1 billion spent is very worthwhile. Well, I think what you said still makes some sense. After Tony finished speaking, he felt that something was wrong, as if he had been involved. His life is naturally valuable, but it doesn't seem to matter if this lion opens his mouth, right? Chen Shi didn't give him time to react or regret, and just decided to kill this matter. Well, when you return to the United States, you will fulfill your promise to me. Chen Shi stared at him meaningfully. The latter was naturally a smart man, and he understood the meaning. When people are under the eaves, how can they not bow their heads? He could only hold his nose and recognize the $1 billion. Okay, I'll cash it in for you when I get back. Okay, happy cooperation. Chen Shi almost laughed in his heart. $1 billion. He just thought about it while dreaming, but he didn't expect to get it so easily. System, thank you for your 8 generations of ancestors. Ding, return to the host. The system is unique and has no ancestors. Well, Chen Shi pouted, what a boring guy, he can't even chat. Okay, happy cooperation. No matter what, it's true that you saved my life, although I can kill them myself in a day or two. Well, Tony is a man who doesn't want to suffer any loss. He wants to take advantage of his words no matter what. After saying this, he stretched out his hand to shake Chen Zai's hand to show his generosity. Chen Shi also reached out and shook it. He also had his own purpose. Ding, the plot character Iron Man Tony Stark has been detected. Would the host draw it? This draw will cost 20,000 points. Extract, Chen Shi said without hesitation. Ding, extraction is in progress, host please wait. Ding, the extraction is complete. Congratulations to the master for extracting the micro-arc reactor technology. Do you want to extract it? Is it so cool? Yes, Tony's wisdom has not been extracted, but it doesn't matter, he will not be on the technology side, this thing can develop power and let his subordinates do it. The body is king. The only way to forge iron is to be strong yourself. Extract. Ding, extraction is in progress. Please wait. Ding, the extraction is complete. The micro-arc reactor technology has been stored in the system space, please check the host. The series of sounds also ended in an instant, but one of the messages made Chen Shi angry. Your system, why didn't you tell me earlier if you had system space? I'm carrying a crappy bag, what kind of trouble is this? Alas, how easy is it for him to carry a bag on this hot day? This is all the fault of the system. Ding, the host didn't ask, so the system naturally won't make its own decisions. Forehead. Okay, Chen Shi is speechless. Ya's ability to blame others has been demonstrated. If I don't ask, you won't tell. Forget it, it's not too late to know now. Chen Shi muttered and stopped worrying. The communication between him and the system is only at the level of consciousness, and he cannot feel the passage of time even if he is outside for a long time. So Chen Shi came back to his senses, smiled mysteriously, and said in a slightly meaningful tone. You mean that broken iron box in the cave? What a broken iron box. That's a steel armor. Hearing that Chen Shi despised his greatest pride in his life, Tony immediately refused. However, he reacted instantly. Wait, how do you know about the steel armor? Tony's face suddenly turned pale. He looked at Chen Shi with some fear in his eyes. Impossible. This is top secret. Did you tell him, Ethan? Tony shouted that it was impossible, and looked at Ethan suddenly, asking if he told Chen Shi. Seeing Tony staring at him, Ethan also shook his head. Tony, I'm really speechless. Ethan was equally surprised, he couldn't understand it at all. Don't you know how to predict things? Tony covered his head and scratched his hair vigorously, as if he didn't feel safe at all. Chen Shi smiled mysteriously and did not answer Tony's question. What is the biggest golden finger in time travel? There is no doubt that knowing the past and the future is your own trump card. It's not a bad idea to pretend to be a prophet or a magician from time to time. It is also good to create a mysterious aura and a confusing personality for yourself, as you can gain a lot of benefits for yourself. Let's go. The Buddha said it cannot be said. That heavenly Lord Wuliang, it is better to leave here. This miserable place will not work. Chen Shi muttered some terms that they didn't understand at all, turned around and left. Tony and the two were confused, but they still quickly followed Chen Shi with full doubts. If people don't tell them, they have no choice but to hide the matter in their hearts. They will find out sooner or later. It's better to go back now, it's not safe here. It was the first time for Chen Shi to drive in the desert. The performance of these guys' modified off-road vehicles was really impressive. The roaring sound is the second type of sound that excites men. The first type is roaring. You can guess for yourself. Anyway, I don't understand. The dust brought up by the wild racing is so obvious in the desert that it can be seen even from dozens of miles away. Sir, I seem to have noticed that there is a large area of yellow sand rising 15 kilometers away. It must be an off-road vehicle driving wildly. It may be much better than us searching randomly in the vast desert. Colonel Rhodes looked into the distance with a solemn mood and nodded silently. Tony was having fun in the car at the moment, celebrating his escape from heaven and hell. With the heavy metal music, Tony stood up and howled like a gorilla in excitement. Oh, wow, freedom I want. I'm going to eat 10 cheeseburgers. 10. His favorite is cheeseburger. He hasn't enjoyed his favorite in months. Curry rice all day long. Curry rice. If he hadn't been trying to survive, he would have vomited. Bang, bang. Chen Shi didn't know when he picked up a piece of ice and started chewing it. Ice cubes. Tony, who was learning from the gorilla, suddenly turned around, looked at the ice cube in Chen Zai's hand, and swallowed hard. This. He rubbed his hands and looked at Chen Shi with a smile. Want to eat. Take the money, $1 million apiece. What a million. Tony has been completely defeated by Chen Zai's shamelessness. Want to break the ice and ask me for 1 million? Of course I, Tony Stark, am a fool. 2 pieces. Well, no one can escape the true fragrance law of Boss Wong, the greatest philosopher in our country. Hey, here you go, enough. Chen Shi laughed like a thief. He had already stolen Tony's huge life-saving money of 1 billion, and this 1 million was just drizzle. However, the pleasure of robbery is completely unimaginable to outsiders. A piece of ice is $1 million. This feeling is simply too good. Bang, bang. Soon the sound of chewing ice could be heard in the car. Haha, so cool. 2 more pieces. Tony is a guy who almost dies of thirst when his smoking throat meets a big ice cube, and when a desert meets an oasis. How could a piece of ice be satisfying? Ethan over there hadn't chewed half of it yet, so he finished it in 3 bites. Chen Shi was so happy that he gave him 2 more pieces of ice. How could he not refuse the large sum of money delivered to his door? Just as they were having fun leisurely, the roar of a helicopter sounded above their heads. Chapter 11. When Tony and Tony heard the sound of the helicopter, their first reaction was that the enemy was chasing them. Only this group of mercenaries are familiar with this ghost place. How could a helicopter from far away in the United States find them in the vast desert? What should Chen Shi do? These guys won't attack us with rockets, right? Tony was a little nervous. He was bitten by a snake once and has been afraid of well ropes for 10 years. It's okay. It's okay. Chen Shi comforted him, raised his head, squinted his eyes, and looked directly at the helicopter above with eyesight that was dozens of times better than that of ordinary people. Isn't this the Star-Spangled Banner? Chen Shi glanced around and discovered it. Hey, it's okay, it's one of your own. Chen Shi turned around and said. One of our own. That's great. Tony was obviously overjoyed. Since Chen Shi said so, it was correct. Hey, here. Tony took off his clothes and shouted to the sky. That's Tony. Quick, get down. Colonel Rhodes, who was observing with a telescope, immediately discovered that the pervert below was the long-missing Tony. After a while, the helicopter landed slowly. Rhodes jumped out of the helicopter and gave Tony a bear hug. Hey, Tony, you've been missing for so long, you really scared us to death. Colonel Rhodes patted Tony's shoulder excitedly, looking extremely surprised and excited. He is Tony's best friend, and he is happy to find Tony both publicly and privately. Yes, how could the great Tony Stark die so easily? Tony chuckled and spoke shamelessly. Here, let me introduce to you my savior, Ethan, and Chen Shi. This is my good friend, Colonel Rhodes. Tony was busy introducing Ethan and Chen Shi to Rhodes. He said he was his savior, but he didn't say how he saved them. Obviously, Tony has a hand in this matter. This is too strange. There is a mole. Tony Stark, wants to stop trading. Rhodes did not doubt it at this time, but extended his hand politely. Hello, thank you for saving Tony. Chen Shi and Chen Shi shook hands lightly, indicating that they knew each other. Only this time, the system didn't prompt me whether to withdraw or not. In fact, this Rhodes was really scummy. Everything he owned was directly ignored by the system. Everyone chatted for a while, then continued to set off, and soon landed at a military airport in Afghan. Rhodes and the others took Chen Shi and the others to an international airport and boarded a plane to fly to the United States. Originally, Ethan didn't want to follow Tony, but he couldn't resist Tony's enthusiasm, so he had no choice but to go with him temporarily. When the plane landed in New York, reporters who smelled the smell swarmed in. They had already received the news that Tony Stark had been rescued, and rushed to the airport immediately to catch the first-hand news. When Tony stepped out of the plane, Pepper was the first to rush up and pounced on Tony like a swallow returning to its nest. Ooh Tony, you are finally back. You were really worried about me. I asked you not to bring a bodyguard. Something happened. Tony hugged this hard-working woman tightly and smelled the familiar scent of perfume. I will listen to you next time, honey, I made you worry, I'm sorry. Tony said softly, his tone even more apologetic. Woo, just come back, it'll be good. Chen Shi stood aside and curled his lips in disdain, the sour smell of love. But to be honest, he really doesn't understand foreign aesthetics. Does having freckles on your fur mean you are beautiful? I don't understand. He really doesn't think there's anything good about little chili pepper. Tony's taste is indeed extraordinary. He likes beauties with cute big like Wanda, or short legs and big like Black Widow. But forget about Black Widow. This woman is too old and has experienced too many men. When Tony showed his affection, the clicking outside never stopped. Tomorrow's news headlines will probably be, Tony Stark showed off his affection at the airport as soon as he showed up. Is this woman the new love interest of Playboy Tony Stark? This is more headline than any entertainment headline. Of course, Tony was not the only one being photographed at the scene. Chen Shi was also one of them vying to take pictures. This group of keen reporters had already smelled something different. This young yellow man is too conspicuous. Among these black and white ghosts, Chen Shi stands out so much. They were also discussing quietly, guessing Chen Zai's identity. Who is this young man? He is a bit too handsome. That's right, the key point is why is this guy standing next to Tony Stark so carelessly? Is he Tony's bodyguard? Fart, where did such a handsome bodyguard come from? He has already debuted, okay. Well, I wonder if he needs a one-night partner. I'm very impulsive. Fake squid, you shameless woman, if you want to come, I'll come too, okay. Go away. While they were chattering, reporters with chicken thieves had already rushed over. It was as if the airport had become a temporary press conference. They held up the microphone and stabbed Tony hard. Mr. Stark, may I ask, have you been kidnapped? Mr. Stark, may I ask, who is the Asian gentleman next to you? Mr. Stark, during your absence, Stark Industries stock has plummeted. What measures will you take? Mr. Stark, all kinds of strange questions, and more importantly, someone asked if Tony was going to see several girls tonight. Everyone, be quiet, be quiet. Tony had a headache and was completely blocked. If he didn't say a few words, he probably wouldn't be able to leave. I can only answer a few of the questions I just asked. I will hold a press conference to specifically explain some situations. After Tony finished speaking helplessly, the scene became slightly quieter and the preparations began. Aha, aha. Tony cleared his throat and then spoke skillfully. Everyone, don't worry, I'm not being kidnapped. Naturally, he wants to stabilize the plummeting stocks and must only tell good news. I studied a very interesting thing at a desert base abroad. I believe I will meet you soon. The reporters below were whispering to each other, some believed it and some didn't. No matter what, they began to look forward to what Tony was talking about. Whether it was civilian or military, they must have held back another big move. As for the person you are curious about next to me, to be honest with you, he is my cousin. Just when Tony was about to say that Chen Shi was his cousin, he suddenly shuddered, and a cold air gathered near his second brother. Mr. Stark, what's going on? Are you choking? Why don't you speak? It's like he was about to take a shot and was interrupted. Isn't this torture? Ahem, sorry. Tony coughed dryly, and then said angrily. This person next to me is my eldest cousin. Even though he is very young, you all know the magic of the East, hee. Do we understand? We understand your sister. Are we blind, or fools? What a bully. Everyone present was angry. You are not a bully. You, Tony Stark, are trying to rub our IQs on the ground. The intermediary guy is not a good person. Who are you looking down on? This Tony Stark is really full of lies. You can't believe a word of what the Playboy says. God, take this guy away quickly, I'll report him, he's just showing off. Tony, you said that young man was older than you, so we reluctantly recognized him. You said he was your cousin, and you thought we were blind. Ha ha, a white man and a yellow man are actually cousins. What's going on? Tony shrugged at the comments made by these guys. If you don't believe it, then I can't help it. The whole world needs the certification of the great Tony Stark. But I don't need your certification, bye. After Tony finished speaking, he asked the bodyguards to clear the way, and rushed away from the crowd. His arrogant attitude was taken for granted by everyone. This is his personality. There is no need to carefully maintain any greatness, hard work, or frugality. Tony is not tired at all and is very moisturized. A certain villa in New York, of course, not his Marbury luxury villa. A fleet of luxury cars drove into this high-end villa area. Oh, the environment here is good. Buy me one and deduct it from my money. Chen Shi, who had just gotten off the bus, felt that this place was good and worth settling in. After all, this is New York, the center of the universe. The environment is fresh, the community is quiet, the greening is quite good, and it's not far from the city. It can be said to be quiet in the bustle. Chen Zai's tone of ordering his younger brother made Tony very unhappy. Are you treating me like your younger brother? Hey, are you mistaken? Boss, do you have an ID card? How can I buy it for you? Chen Shi glanced at him sideways and said, I have no identity. I'm your cousin, just help me get it done tomorrow. If you can't handle this little thing, you might as well die. Fake, I'm unlucky. Tony cursed angrily in a low voice. What had he done recently to anger God? Send someone to torture him. Giggle. The little haughty peepo next to him covered his mouth and snickered. Finally, there was someone who could cure Tony, a guy with an extremely bad personality. She started to gloat at the side. This guy finally met his nemesis, how much less worry should she have to worry about in the future? After thinking about it, he glanced at Chen Shi quietly and winked quietly to show his gratitude. This was an incredible sight, and both Chen Shi and Tony were shocked. Chen Shi, darling, this woman is not in love with someone else and is attracted to me, right? Should I eat or not? That's a question. Although it quenches my thirst, I have to turn off the light. The amount of hair on the forehead, the crime, the immeasurable deity, the poor man should just forget about it, it is not his cup of tea. Tony, Frankie, Chen-Shi. You are such a scourge, I really can't keep you by my side. Otherwise, I won't be able to pick up any girls in the future. My Peppa is about to be seduced by this guy. We have only known each other for a few minutes. If it takes a few more days, why not applaud for love? What the hell, isn't good here? After thinking about it, Tony felt that he had to do something to save it. He felt that he could still save it. He coughed dryly, stood up, stood between Peibo and Chen-Shi, and said casually. Isn't it just a villa? I will buy it tomorrow. This is all a trivial matter. By the way, Ethan, I'll buy one for you too. You can stay at Stark Industries from now on. Your level is completely qualified to be our senior engineer. Tony. Ethan called Tony softly. Huh, what's wrong, Ethan? Tony was a little surprised, but he also guessed it. Ethan said with some embarrassment. Tony, I still want to go back and help my hometown. They are too poor and need me. Ethan's heart is not in the bustling city here at all. His heart has always been in his poor hometown, and his hometown needs him. He studies hard not to get rid of poverty in his hometown, but to build a better hometown. Oh, okay, but I can support you with 100 million, so that you can show your talents and develop your hometown. Tony saw that Ethan had already made up his mind to leave, and he didn't want to force it. Ethan was right, his hometown needed him more. Sure enough, when Ethan heard this, he immediately beamed and no longer looked worried. He said excitedly, Thank you. Thank you, Tony, you are such a generous friend. Tony waved his hand. Oh, it's okay, but it's a pity that it will be too difficult to meet each other in the future. It's okay, I will definitely come see you when I have time. Then it's agreed, don't keep your words. Must. Ethan is Tony's savior. If it weren't for Ethan, the Iron Man of the Marvel world, the big three of the Avengers would have gone to meet Satan long ago. Well, Tony, an arms dealer, is not qualified to meet God. Tony can only repay him in another way, supporting Ethan in building his hometown. Maybe this is the best way. Okay, grown man, stop whining and whining, let's go, I'm starving to death, I want to eat barbecue. No, I want a cheeseburger, a Coke. Fried chicken. As soon as Chen-Shi finished speaking, Tony raised an objection. He could eat 10 now. Seeing that the two had different opinions, Pepper came out with a smile to smooth things over. Okay, let's eat everything. We're not short of money. Well, if you are close to red, you will be red, if you are close to ink, you will be black. Little Pepper was spoiled by Tony. The first thing he said was that I am not interested in money. Look at this tone, it's so grand. Oh, this plan was unanimously agreed upon by everyone, you can eat whatever you want. Pepper is indeed Tony's good assistant, and her efficiency is really fast. After a while, a restaurant specially delivered these things, and even 2 barbecue chefs came. Chen-Shi thinks he can't imagine being a rich person. This meal was enjoyable. He had never tasted such top-quality ingredients. The best thing is ordinary beef. He just graduated from college and has no money to eat anything expensive. Kobe costs 8,000 yuan per catty, Boston lobsters, king crabs, pearl abalone, and bluefin tuna weighing more than 10 catties. In the end, seeing how delicious Chen-Shi was eating, Tony couldn't help but join in and forcefully eat it. He was so greedy in the past few months. There is no oil or water in his stomach at all, and only these big meals can satisfy his stomach. I've never thought these things were so delicious. While eating, he sighed, he was really hungry after a few meals, everything was so delicious. A lunch, eating and drinking, everyone was happy, and half the afternoon passed like this. After eating and drinking, everyone lay in the yard, chatting and enjoying the long-lost cozy time. The breeze was blowing, the sun was shining, and, well, Tony's beauty was accompanying him, making Tony feel that it was good to be alive. Suddenly, during the chat, Tony asked curiously, Chen-Shi, have you mutants appeared again recently? They have disappeared for a long time and have not come out. Occasionally, I hear about out-of-control mutants. Wait, Chen-Shi was shocked, because Tony meant that mutants in this world were very inactive. Could there be other changes? The timeline has changed again. As for Avengers and X-Men, they both belong to the Marvel Universe and they all know each other. In the movie, Due to copyright issues, they were separated directly, and there was no linkage. Only Wanda and Quicksilver were linked. But this is the real universe, there are no artificial rules and regulations at all. Chen-Shi pondered for a moment about Tony's question, and then he said, I don't know, I'm not a mutant, maybe. Who can say for sure in the future? What, you don't understand either? Tony shouted. He felt very incredible, but he didn't think Chen-Shi had lied to him. Even Chen-Shi doesn't understand it. It seems that mutants are quite hidden. I don't understand either. Tell me, what big events have happened to mutants recently? Tony was speechless when he heard Chen Zai's rhetorical question, Boss, you are the mutant. Ask me instead. He shrugged helplessly. The most recent time was after the Cuban crisis ended, and there were no large-scale mutant operations. What's left is that occasionally mutants get out of control, and then they are quickly cleaned up and disappear. Chen-Shi finally understood that the timeline was completely disrupted. The mutants seemed to be on a timeline to reverse the future. Or was it another accident? Or was it all because of him? As for those guys who lost control, Chen-Shi knew that they were all taken back by Professor X. So that's how it is, but it doesn't matter, I'm here, they have to come out. Chen-Shi looked at the clouds on the horizon and murmured to himself that his arrival would completely change the timeline of this world. Everything will go in an unknown direction, and the Time Variation Administration or other great gods will discover his existence. Looking at Chen Zai's low murmur, everyone couldn't understand it at all. Time flew by, and in the evening, Tony held a party at home. Of course, his friends were invited, as well as more blonde beauties with big. However, Chen-Shi didn't have much interest. As a new arrival, he was still very interested in this foreign country and the largest city in the world. He drove Tony's Lambo sports car, stepped on the accelerator, and roared towards the city. Fifth Avenue, the most prosperous neighborhood in New York, is even more lively and luxurious at night. New York is a paradise for the rich and a hell for the poor. The sins hidden in the dark were exposed at night, but these had no impact on Chen-Shi. These people are welcome to send some bioenergy. Rambo is not that common even in New York, and the huge roar attracts countless people to look at it. Their envy, jealousy, pointing, and envious glances from the girls from time to time made his vanity burst. It turns out that sports cars really don't have windows. Chen-Shi originally thought that those guys were just pretending to be competitive, but he didn't expect that when it was his turn, he made the same choice. The law of true fragrance is the eternity of the universe. Why am I driving such a cool sports car? If I close the windows, how can I show off? Who will I show it to? When Chen-Shi drove slowly in a busy neighborhood, he realized the truth. Because this is what he heard. Wow, he's so handsome. This car is handsome, and the person is even more handsome. Hey, can you look at us and see if we can be so aloof? He is so handsome and rich, he is the perfect man. Handsome guy, do you want to have a one-night partner? Where is money not worshipped? It is common all over the world, everyone worships money, but the degree is different. Chen-Shi quickly parked the car at a relatively high-end looking bar. Maybe it would be better tonight. After parking the car, Chen-Shi walked in with curiosity amid the respectful greetings from the security guard. Sure enough, there were demons dancing wildly inside. Under the dim light, men and women twisted their bodies crazily, venting the worries of the day. Heavy metal music roared in his ears, which made Chen-Shi very uncomfortable. Could you please be quieter? It's really disappointing. It's noisier abroad than at home. Sir, would you like to open a booth for you? Soon, a beautiful blonde with big came close to Chen-Shi, and her huge soft body rubbed against his arm. Beauty, can you make soy milk? Is it satisfying? But it was quite enjoyable, and Chen-Shi enjoyed it so much that he didn't stop enjoying it. When she saw that Chen-Shi didn't pull away her arm, she knew something was going on. He learned from the security guard at the door that this handsome guy got off the Lambo. A real rich man. Tonight's bonus depends on him, so she shows off all her huge capital. She won't suffer any loss anyway, just make money. Chen-Shi naturally knew about her purpose, but as long as everyone knew it well, why bother with it? He smiled and asked, Beauty, it's no problem at all. By the way, what good wine do you have here? There are top-notch Louis XIII, Remy Martin, and top-notch red wines from the Lafite series. By the way, there is also the signature cocktail of our famous bartender in New York, the God of Fire. Good guy. The beauties introduced top quality wines without considering the price at all, but Chen Shi didn't care at all. Then bring what you said, Louis XIII, Remy Martin, and the God of Fire. The big-haired beauty was immediately overjoyed. Sir, please wait a moment. After saying that, she twisted her waist and left. I don't know if she did it on purpose, but she felt particularly energetic. In a place like a bar, too many people come to get drunk. Before the wine Chen Shi asked for could be served, a drunken woman staggered over to Chen Shi. He's quite handsome. This woman's face was red, she was obviously drunk, she was swaying when she walked, and she didn't forget to tease Chen Shi. He looked at this woman and couldn't help but be stunned. How lucky is he? She is indeed the chosen one. Isn't this woman so beautiful? Blonde hair and blue eyes are standard. The key is the model figure, at least D34, this waist, and these snow-white long legs. I have been playing for a year. She is a natural beauty with a straight nose bridge, charming big eyes that seem to be eating people, and a touch of red lips that makes people want to look at her. There are no large pores on the face like white people, it is very delicate and clean, with a standard sweetheart face. Then it's her tonight, it's not a loss. Since Ji Yu Liang is willing, why should he pretend to be a gentleman? He gently took her in his arms and controlled her drunkenness. Ha, you are indeed not a good person. Did you think you Asians would be more reserved? Seeing this, the woman rolled her eyes at Chen Shi angrily. Those charming big eyes were a bit lethal. Chen Shi couldn't stand it. It seems like there's no need to drink anymore. Hey, how can he pretend to be a gentleman when he has a beauty in his arms, unless he is a eunuch? Chen Shi stared at Ji Yu Liang shamelessly and laughed happily. Eunuch, what is that? The beauty was stunned and obviously didn't react. Eunuch, that's right. Chen Shi quietly leaned into the beauty's ear and explained softly. I hate it. You did it on purpose just to take advantage of me. The hot breath Chen Shi breathed made her whole body feel uncomfortable, and she couldn't stand such strong charm of the opposite gender. Under the dim light, his picturesque charming face occasionally flashed across her face, making her really want to be in love with her. Hey, there's something even scarier. Are you confident? The goblin glanced at him in an extremely provocative manner. From her point of view, it doesn't seem to be that good, right? Chen Shi was angry at her provocation. It's true that my uncle can bear it, but my aunt can't. Let her cry for father and mother later, yes. Good. Can't stop. Chen Shi naturally fought back hard against her provocation. With a swish, he grabbed her little hand. The beauty covered her mouth and quickly stopped her exclamation. She lowered her voice and looked at Chen Shi with a red face. I haven't experienced it before, will there be any problems? Cut. Zaja. Chen Shi looked at her with contempt, and now he gave up. Was he so crazy just now? Are you scared? Where was that madness just now? TCH. I'm afraid of you. Provocative. Are you challenging me? The beauty stopped after hearing this. Is there anything this woman can't do? All men can't do it, right? How could she give in? Let's just treat it as indulgent. It's rare to meet such a handsome and powerful person, so if you leave it to him, it won't be a loss at all. The two seemed to hit it off immediately and didn't want to wait any longer. The goblin couldn't help but whisper. Walk, walk. Poof. The two looked at each other and smiled, almost laughing to death. Is this what happened? Are they a little too thirsty? Hey, let's go. Aha. The goblin took Chen Zai's arm and pressed it tightly, making Chen Shi feel beautiful again. As soon as I got up, I saw the previous sales coming. Sir, are you leaving? What about wine? What she was worried about was that she wouldn't be able to open the wine. Wouldn't that be a big loss? Looking at the drunk woman holding Chen Zai's arm, she understood immediately that something was urgent. Well, swipe your card, the password is XXX. Save the wine and drink it later. Chen Shi took out the card worth more than $1 billion and handed it to her. Yes, sir, wait a moment. The beauty twisted and left happily. Soon, Chen Shi received a text message. Naturally, it all belonged to Tony. Ding, you spent $100,000, and the balance in the card is $1,003,500,000. Gah, this long series of numbers shocked the goblin. You, which consortium are you? How can you be so rich? Oh my god. Oh my god. 1, 10, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. 100 million. 1 billion. Chen Shi didn't expect that the goblin snatched the phone away and started counting seriously. Well, don't make a fuss, it's small money, small money. TCH, pretend. The goblin threw the phone to Chen Shi and rolled her charming big eyes. She was half awake from the drunkenness. It seems that my one-night partner is perfect. The two of them were in love with each other, and they were passionate about it. After taking the bank card, they walked out of the bar. The moment they left, a man quickly followed them in a corner of the bar. This goblin had been targeted by him for a long time, and many people in the bar had been targeted, but after being taken away, they secretly cursed him for bad luck. Only this guy seems different. Are talented people bold? Chen Shi held the goblin in his arms outside the door. As soon as he opened Daniel's car door, he realized something was wrong. What's wrong? The goblin noticed something was wrong with Chen Shi and asked with concern. It's okay, it's just a rat that doesn't know whether to live or die. Chen Shi shook his head disdainfully and snorted coldly. This time, before the goblin could ask any more questions, he was interrupted by an arrogant voice. Rat, boy, you are so arrogant. Put down the girl in your arms and I can spare your life. Those who are so arrogant often die the fastest, the ones with the lushest grass on their graves. Chen Shi turned around and looked at the person who came, a standard little yellow guy with an arrogant expression on his face that didn't deserve a beating. Won't let me go. What are your abilities? Chen Shi asked with a smile, obviously not taking him to heart. What are my abilities? If you have the guts, come with me and I'll show you what I'm capable of. Huang Mao raised his fingers provocatively at Chen Shi. Okay, I'm just warming up. Honey, give me a minute and I'll go take care of him. Chen Shi turned his head and smiled gently at this beauty. Then be careful and don't force it. She said worriedly that she originally didn't want him to argue with these scum of society, but when men spoke, she instinctively didn't want to interfere in matters between men. She also believes that behind such a large consortium, there are naturally powerful bodyguards protecting it secretly. In her worried eyes, Chen Shi and Huang Mao quickly arrived at the back alley of the bar. Seeing that there was no one around, Huang Mao let go completely. He laughed and said, Boy, no one here can save you for being so crazy. Let me show you how powerful Pyro John is. Chen Shi was stunned when he heard this guy introduced himself. Is it such a coincidence that he said there was no trace of mutants in the afternoon, so why the hell did he meet this supporting character when he went out? Are you Burning John? Are you real or fake? Chen Shi asked in disbelief. HMPH, I don't believe in Pyro John. It seems I have to let you see it. After that, he took out a lighter from his pocket, lit it with a puff, and then waved his hand, and a giant pillar of flame rushed toward Chen Shi. Oh no, it's quite bluffing. Chen Shi screamed strangely, what a pity, this fireman is just rubbish. How hot can a lighter be? It's just pretending to scare people. Chen Shi looked at him calmly, raised his hand and grabbed the void, and then saw a water column appear out of thin air. Are you a mutant too? Chen's eyes set of operations made John scream uncontrollably. So careless, so careless. The other party is also a mutant. In fact, this was just the beginning of his tragedy. The huge water column extinguished the fire column, and the remaining power still hit him hard. Plop. John immediately knelt down. Haha, rubbish. Chen Shi stepped forward and knocked him unconscious with a single blow of his knife. System, swallow. Ding. John, the fireman's fire control ability requires 1000 points of bioenergy, and the host has 235 points of bioenergy left. Devour. Must devour. Naturally, I won't be polite to such little yellow hair, rubbish and minor supporting roles. He's not very capable, but he has quite a bad temper. He really can't do it without experiencing severe beatings from society. If he were an ordinary person, he would have died at the hands of Pyro Man long ago. How can I still live? I went directly to see the King of Hell. Looking at Huo Ren who fainted, Chen Shi snorted coldly. In the next life, don't pretend to be competitive all day long. You think you are awesome, but in fact you are just a stupid scumbag. Click. After saying that, he raised his foot and stepped on his fragile neck, sending him to meet them in Satan. The unconscious Pyro John suddenly twitched and stopped moving. This guy is just like that guy who pretends to be a hedgehog. He is disgusting and he also pretends to be a hedgehog. No one can beat him, but I am a badass. Chen Shi felt that if he met the hedgehog man, he would kill him without saying a word and just give him some more biological energy. As for the rest, forget about that disgusting person's abilities. When he was watching the movie, he was particularly disgusted with that disgusting guy, who was even more pretentious than Burning Man. Shaking his head, Chen Shi, who no longer thought about it, lit it with a lighter and controlled the flame to directly burn the thing into dregs and ashes. Ding! Kill Pyro John. The host will gain 500 points of bioenergy, and the remaining bioenergy points are currently 735 points. Ding! The host killed Pyro John, completely changed his destiny, and gained 50,000 points. Yes, this guy died a worthy death. He provided me with bioenergy and points. I have to thank him. System, I have a property panel, generate one for me. Does he know which system doesn't have a property panel? Ding, the system is generating the property panel, please wait a moment, host. Ding, the property panel has been generated, please check it, host. A light screen that was slightly simpler than the character attribute panel in online games appeared in front of Chen Shi. Host, Chen Shi, age, 22, level, Earth level, physique, Frost Giant physique. Abilities, Water Control Level B, Ice Control Level B, Fire Control Level C. Items, Time Stone, Space Stone, Reality Stone, Power Stone, Mind Stone, Soul Stone. N pieces. Points, 50,000 points. Bioenergy, 735 points. The property panel is so simple that it almost has no panels. But fortunately, he had achieved such results within 2 days of entering the Marvel world, and he was already very satisfied. The road is long and long, don't be in a hurry, take your time. It won't be long before he becomes extremely gorgeous and powerful. In a happy mood, Chen Shi hummed a little tune and walked back to the door of the bar. At this time, the little demon's wine seemed to have been blown by the cold wind and he woke up. When he saw Chen Shi coming back, he rushed over and threw himself into his arms. You're finally back, and I'm worried to death. She hugged Chen Shi tightly, fearing that Chen Shi would leave the next second. Chen Shi rubbed her little head, which made her not angry, but instead arched her head hard, like a cat trying to find a comfortable position. Hey, what can happen to me? I beat that kid so hard that he ran away in a mess. Chen Zai's voice was very soft, but it made her feel extremely at ease. I have sobered up from the wine, and the drunken urge just now seems to have faded a bit. However, she seems to feel that even without that drunkenness, she can do what she wants because she is so excited. The little fairy adjusted Chen Zai's clothes, stared into his starry eyes as deep as the stars and the sea, and slowly sank in. She couldn't help but stand on tiptoes, desperately feeling Chen Zai's strong and strange charm, forgetting everything and asking for each other. This is the street in America, where freedom is longed for, and openness is their attitude. It has long been common for Chen Shi and Chen Shi to kiss like this. People passing by stopped and couldn't help but whistle, applaud and cheer. A few minutes later, this wonderful beginning ended until the little goblin was so clumsy that he didn't know how to take a breath. Well, so fast, oh, hell, you're still not satisfied. Let's go. In response to Chen Zai's teasing, the little goblin blushed and hit him hard with her fists to cover up her embarrassment. There were so many people booing around that she didn't dare to look around at all, so she shyly pulled Chen Shi towards the car. Rambo the bull roared and walked away in front of everyone's surprised eyes. Fake, so this is love. This is love, the air is filled with the smell of money. I actually believe in love. It seems so simple. Love at the bar door is so reliable. They looked at the sports car going away, as if they understood. After getting in the car, the goblin gave him a navigation address, shyly looked out the window and stopped talking. In the car, there was a moment of embarrassment. I woke up and stopped going crazy. Fairy, what's your name? 10 minutes later, Chen Shi spoke first, breaking the somewhat silent atmosphere. My name is Wanda Django Maximoff. You can call me Wanda, this is my first time going to a bar. Wanda smoothed her hair and said quietly, she didn't know why, she just wanted to explain. Squeak. Chen Shi braked suddenly, and a long skid mark on the ground seemed to express how sudden this thing was, and bursts of white smoke rose from behind the butt of the car. This goes to show how excited Chen Shi is, a name just surprised him. Your name is Wanda. Do you have a younger brother? Chen Shi suddenly turned his head and asked in shock. Wanda was also frightened by Chen Zai's surprise. She looked at Chen Shi weakly and nodded lightly. Yes, I have a younger brother Pietro. How did you know? Wanda was also surprised by Chen Zai's words. How did he know? Unexpectedly, Chen Shi didn't answer her words at all, but bent down and gave her a big kiss. Woohoo, that stinky guy, he went crazy again. Wanda hammered him hard with her little fist, and slowly found that she no longer struggled and became compliant. This is far away from the downtown area and is close to the relatively remote Shelby I rented by Wanda, otherwise we would have been complained about long ago. It took a few more minutes before Chen Shi chose to let Wanda go, like a kitten. I am the legendary chosen one, right? If I am not the chosen one, it is completely unexplainable. Ha ha ha. Chen Shi felt secretly happy in his heart. In the end, he was so happy that he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Wanda blushed and couldn't help but roll her eyes at him. Really, why are you always going crazy, every now and then? Hey, what's wrong with you? Are you crazy? Wanda pushed him angrily. Hey, it's okay. No, it's a surprise. A big surprise, this is a gift from fate. Chen Shi held Wanda's little face and stared at her with bright starry eyes, as if she was the most precious existence in the world. Wanda, if anyone can make his heart fall in love with him, it would be Wanda and Jean Grey, these two unsolvable women in the Marvel world. Jean Grey in the Dark Phoenix movie shouldn't be too sassy, she's the kind of woman who's so handsome that she's so handsome. That girl in the Apocalypse movie killed Apocalypse instantly with just one outburst. Wanda, the Scarlet Witch who tore Thanos apart in Avengers 4, is also so handsome. If the director hadn't allowed it and insisted on arranging for Tony to snap his fingers, the purple sweet potato would have been torn into pieces by Wanda. The girl in front of me is actually Wanda. If this is not a surprise, then what is a surprise? Wanda, you are the gift of fate. From now on, your world will be protected by me. Chen Zai's oath was loud and firm in a different way, which made Wanda's little heart beat faster and faster while he was staring at her. Who wants you to protect me? We are just going to quench our thirst today, and then I will kick you out. Wanda's eyes were a little dodgeful, and she slapped away his mischievous big hand and hummed proudly. TCH, you tough-talking guy. Let's go. Is there no one at home? Chen Shi curled his lips, got on the pirate ship and still wanted to run away. What he thought was that if Quicksilver was at home, they would go to the hotel. No, I don't know where that kid went. Seemingly understanding the meaning of Chen Zai's words, Wanda was very nervous at the moment and no longer as arrogant as before. Chen Shi didn't know that the silent Wanda had already started brainstorming, sometimes doing this and sometimes doing that. Time flew by, and after a few minutes, Chen Shi stopped the car. How about forgetting it? Should I go back? Seeing the girl hesitating, Chen Shi wanted to laugh a little. This is not the case in this open and free country. There are always some conservative guys. No, are you scared? Wanda was heartbroken and said angrily. I'm scared. Chen Shi glanced at her sideways, picked her up and rushed through the door. At this time, everything else is superfluous and you can only prove yourself with actions. Boo-hoo-hoo. The stamina of the wine seemed to come back, and Wanda was completely ignited. The two of them walked and threw it. Throwing it everywhere, just entering the bedroom, all the restraints in the way were gone. Chen Zai's eyes were mesmerized by the charming scenery, and she looked at her with tenderness and anger. Chen Shi handed over a bottle of water, and after she took it, she drank it. Is this what it tastes like? Wanda learned the lesson. The two of them stopped talking, hugging each other and savoring the aftertaste. At this time, the troublemaker came. Ding! Congratulations to the host for greatly changing Crimson Wanda's fate. I will reward the host with 10 million points. What? 10 million points? Did the system make a mistake? Chen Shi was excited. Wanda was so angry that she pinched his waist and twisted it several times. Although her strength didn't hurt at all, Chen Shi still grinned in order to make Wanda happy. Wanda snorted, very satisfied with his performance. Wanda calmed down again and found a comfortable position to close her eyes and rest. Chen Shi also returned to the system again. System, why do you give so much? He asked again. Go back to the host. Wanda's destiny has changed you greatly. Your future life trajectory will revolve around the host. As the darling of the universe in the Marvel world, Wanda's every move is related to the direction of the entire Marvel world. So, host, you changed Wanda's tragic fate, which is equivalent to indirectly causing the fate of countless people in Marvel to slightly deviate from the established track. For system calculations, the 10 million points you get are strictly based on the system mechanism. Please rest assured, host. Each piece of information from the system also made Chen Shi understand that the more powerful the existence, the greater the influence. Then it will become more developed in the future. There are so many bosses in Marvel, so how many points can he get? Ha ha ha. Chen Shi knows how explosive Wanda will be in the future, which is not shown at all in the movie and cannot be shown. It's completely different here, a real world, and her growth depends on this universe. The movie universe does not allow beings who are too strong. When Chen Shi transforms the universe step by step, everyone's overall strength will increase. In my memory, there were no more mutants that year. 99% of the mutants in the universe were immediately deprived of their mutant abilities. Only 82 lucky people escaped. Wanda went berserk again, and her words that there are no more superpowers caused the whole Earth to collapse. All superpowers have been stripped of their abilities, including the magical abilities of the Sorcerer Supreme, the Fantastic Four who gain abilities based on cosmic ray exposure, and the various abilities of mutants. Even Captain America who gains powers through serum, the Hulk who gains powers through gamma-ray irradiation, even the Skrulls on Earth and all the Inhumans on the Moon including Black Bolt. This is Wanda's performance in the comics. The movie cannot show such devastation, and the current movie universe cannot bear such a powerful her. Chen Shi looked at the cat-like girl in front of him and couldn't help laughing. If it weren't for him, who would have thought that this girl would be so powerful that she couldn't be solved in the future? Then wouldn't it be possible for me to possess her chaos magic? The answer is about to come out. System, how many points do I need to extract chaos magic? Money is his biggest concern. Host, the Scarlet Witch has two abilities. It's not right. Her ability is the power of chaos, but her ability is the mutation ability that modifies the probability and fuses the chaos magic of the god Sithorn. This creates the Scarlet Witch. So such a powerful ability requires 5 million to extract once. As for probability modification, chaos magic, or the power of chaos, it all depends on the luck of the host. Chen Shi was slightly startled when he heard what the system said. Is it so expensive? 5 million is spent at a time, and the three abilities cost up to 15 million, because he extracted the modified probability and chaos magic, which may not be able to be integrated like Wanda. Then to extract the same Phoenix power, wouldn't it cost a lot of money? Thinking of this, Chen Shi felt that he was really a poor man. Just now he was so complacent about getting 10 million in vain. Now that he is fine, he doesn't feel good at all. There are also various other abilities, items, knowledge, technology, and so on, and he has to spend money. If you think about it, you will know that a man's money is bullets. If there are not many bullets, the gun will not be used in the right place. After thinking about it, Chen Shi felt that it was useless to think so much, so he still grabbed what was in front of him. So he grabbed 2 soft and fragrant cotton balls and tasted them. No matter what, he wanted to feel comfortable first. With this size, he couldn't put it down. That night, not only Chen Shi Wanda didn't get much rest, but also the whole of New York was not at peace. There are surging undercurrents under the dark night, and many forces stay up all night. Obadiah Stan, Tony's good uncle, was the instigator of this kidnapping incident, but now he smashed everything he could at home. Not smashing it was not enough to vent his anger. Originally everything was in his plan, but after it was implemented, he made mistakes again and again. This bunch of shits from the 10 Commandments gang actually went against his wishes again and again. Even if they didn't kill Tony, they kept adding more money. More money. Do you think you are money increasing lay people? Forget about adding more money. The key is that Tony actually escaped from danger and returned to New York without any danger. Tony, you are so lucky, Obadiah Stan muttered sinisterly, looking so sinister in the darkness. Lighting a cigar, he calmed down again and thought about new countermeasures. He had had enough. It didn't matter that Howard Stark suppressed him and commanded him, but now Tony, a junior, had to suppress him, which made him feel very unhappy. Why? This is just like the ancient emperor who attacked the country and killed the hero. If I leave and his brother refuses to accept it, won't this son's country be unstable? This group of arrogant soldiers must be dealt with by you. You are not afraid of 10,000, but you are afraid that if anyone is dissatisfied, something will happen to you. Jingle bell, jingle bell. Just when Obadiah Stane frowned and was lost in thought, a rapid ringing of the phone rang. Hey, what's going on? Taking out his mobile phone, Obadiah Stane asked in a gloomy voice. The guy opposite him shuddered, and he could still hear the suppressed anger in his voice. The young man suppressed the nervousness in his heart and said with some anxiety, "Boss, our people quietly went to the cave where Tony was kidnapped to investigate. There is a steel armor inside. And the armor is not in use. We speculate that Tony is preparing to escape from heaven wearing that armor, but he has not used that armor now. Now we suspect that he was rescued by the Asian boy who came back with him. By the way, boss, I have arranged for someone to secretly transport the steel armor back to the country." The intelligence personnel under his command were concise and to the point, and quickly analyzed possible results based on the reports they received. "Okay, I understand, everything is waiting for me to arrange." Obadiah Stane just said lightly and nothing happened. "Yes, boss." After hanging up the phone, Obadiah Stane remained silent. His face was uncertain, his eyes were moving around, and he was obviously thinking about it. Tony, you are lucky this time, don't blame me next time," Obadiah Stane said viciously to the air. He had obviously thought of a countermeasure. Only Tony was still partying. He didn't know that the black hand behind all this was his most trusted uncle Obadiah Stane, and that danger was about to come again. Here at S.H.I.E.L.D., no, it's still called the Homeland Strategic Defense, Attack and Logistics Support Agency. Anyway, it's a long and tacky name. A cold-blooded blonde beauty with big quietly came to Nick Fury's office holding a document. "Director Nick, this is the information you asked for. In a hurry, we got almost no information." This aloof blonde beauty with big as Maria Hill, a level 10 agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black braised egg. Nick Fury took the file, which contained only a few photos and a few sentences of information. Wait a minute, what is going on? Why is there no information at all? Did he pop out of a rock? The black braised egg. Nick Fury looked surprised. He pointed at the useless information and asked Hill. "That is indeed the case, Director Nick. We identified this young Asian man in the Global Information Database and could not find any information about him at all." Hill didn't give Nick Fury a good look, he was completely businesslike. But Nick Fury also knows that this woman is cold to everyone, and they all suspect that she is a stone girl. Hearing this, he also fell into deep thought. This matter is not simple. He suddenly remembered something and asked quickly, "Have you gone to the Spear Bureau to inquire? Could it be that they have hidden information about this man?" Hill shook his head slightly. "I have already asked the Divine Spear Bureau, and they have not concealed anything, and I can't find any information." Now, Nick Fury was completely shocked. He knew that it was impossible for the Divine Spear Bureau to panic, so he had to doubt the origin of this guy. As a country in the late stage of persecution paranoia, it is even more representative of the late stage of persecution paranoia. If we don't find out, we will be restless and unable to sleep well. When a person who doesn't know the details gets together with the largest arms dealer, he always feels that something is wrong. No, something must be done. He quickly picked up the phone on the table and dialed, regardless of whether it was midnight or not. "Hey, who is it? It's so late at night, don't you know that a beauty's sleep is very important?" Before Nick Fury could say anything, a barrage of firecrackers was waiting for him on the opposite side. Hearing the black question marks on Nick Fury's forehead, he was extremely depressed. Hill couldn't help but laugh, and secretly covered his mouth. It was so rare to see Nick Fury, a famous talker, being deflated. "Ahem, Natasha, it's me. Nick Fury, I have an urgent task for you. Help me get in touch with someone and get some money." Despite the pain in his head, he still arranged things in a serious manner. "Okay, I know, it's annoying." With a snap, Natasha mumbled and hung up the phone. Toot toot, toot toot. He was disheveled in the wind. The busy tone on the phone made Nick Fury's face turn darker, darker than black coal, although it couldn't be seen. Mom, fake. Do you still have any quality? Can you respect your superiors? Mom made Frankie angry. This Natasha has no quality. Seeing Nick Fury so upset, Hill felt particularly refreshed, like an oasis in the desert. This fool keeps a straight face all day long and acts like he owes him a lot of money. He really deserves to be criticized. Hill also turned around and left, leaving only an arrogant back to the messy Nick Fury, who even turned around. At around 10 o'clock the next day, when the sun was about 3 o'clock, Chen-Chi woke up in a daze and couldn't help but sigh, this is life. The two of them played until 3 o'clock in the morning before taking a break. They had to change the sheets and take a shower. It took too long. Hey, Wanda, wake up, you won't go to work today. Chen-Chi pushed Wanda, who was still sleeping soundly, but the latter just shook her shoulders without opening her eyes. Oh, I'm so annoyed. Let me continue to sleep for a while. I won't go to work today. It's all your fault, you fool who doesn't know how to show mercy to others. After she finished muttering, she covered herself with the quilt and continued to sleep soundly. Chen-Chi pouted. Tisk, I still don't know who has been asking for it. Good keeps yelling and asking for it. Who is to blame? Hiss. I don't know how Wanda heard it, so she turned around and grabbed the clone and pinched it hard. This aroused Chen's eyes anger. Do you dare to challenge yourself so early in the morning? Grabbing her evil hand, Chen-Chi approached Wanda's ear mysteriously and said, Wanda, let me tell you something now. Don't leave your behind to the enemy. What? Wanda was stunned. The next second, she froze and came again. It's his turn to perform. 2 hours later, Chen-Chi hugged Wanda, who was dripping with sweat and limp, to wash herself. Wanda, who had long since given up resistance, was drifting. After finally finishing a simple Chinese meal cooked by Chen-Chi, Wanda rolled her eyes at him and went back to sleep. This fool is not human. Hey, my dear, have a good rest. I'll take you to dinner tonight and I'll go for a walk. Chen-Chi chuckled and rolled his eyes without any deterrent, but instead was filled with the charm of a new woman. Go away. Wanda snorted angrily and fell asleep. Bye-bye. Chen-Chi glanced at her proudly and left here with happy steps. There was still a big fight in the evening. Driving Tony's Lambo, Daniel was speeding all the way. Under Tony's puzzled eyes, he took the newly issued driver's license and ran away. Chen-Chi soon arrived at a securities company, probably America's first securities company. When Chen-Chi got off the Danyu, security guards immediately arranged a VIP parking space for him. Regardless of whether he was a customer or not, they understood that this would be his VIP from now on. Money is common to people all over the world, and people's eyes are not bad. Hello, sir, I am Christian, the business manager of Morgan Securities. May I help you in any way? As soon as I walked in, a beautiful woman greeted me enthusiastically. This world is really beautiful. It turns out that after you become strong, the whole world will be filled with good people, and everyone will smile at you. I'll open an account and plan to play around. Chen-Chi said with a smile. Okay, sir, please follow me. The beauty is overjoyed, a big customer is here. In the VIP room, Chen-Chi handed her his driver's license. After the beauty poured a cup of coffee, she helped him with a smile. At this moment, there were several waves of people outside the securities company monitoring Chen's every move. There's S.H.I.E.L.D., there's the X-Men, there's the Brotherhood, there's the people of Obadiah Stan. Natasha hadn't had a good night's sleep since she was interrupted by a call from Nick Fury last night. She was so angry that she took the information and quietly followed Chen-Chi. Humph, you brat, are you the only one who makes this girl sleep poorly? I don't believe it. There is something unusual about you, otherwise it would make you look good. Natasha became so angry just looking at this guy's handsome face that she couldn't even sleep through her beauty sleep. There are people from the X-Men on the other side, including Colossus, Iceman and others. Last night Professor, as the master of the mind, his senses have always been extremely effective. He immediately put on the helmet, which was the brainwave amplifier. Pyro John's mental fluctuation is gone. Is he dead? Char's stunned, and then his face was clear, and the fireman John died like this. He didn't care about the traitor's life or death. Pyro John had done so many bad things and he was a traitor, so he was going to die. What he was thinking about was whether someone was targeting his mutant family behind the death. After all, they had been hiding for so long and were only exposed occasionally. He followed the remaining mental fluctuations and felt it all the way until Pyro John died in Chen Zai's hands. It's a pity that when he wanted to invade Chen Zai's mind, an abnormal magnetic field that he couldn't resist stopped him. He didn't know that the extremely abnormal magnetic field was the invincible magnetic field of the infinite gems. Even if they were not connected to the rules of the universe, they were them, and they were slowly communicating with each other. Professor. As for the Brotherhood, it was simple. There was no news from Pyro John all night, so he directly called the surveillance. Naturally, Magneto also knew that his men were killed by Chen Shi, so he wanted to bring this stronger man into their camp. Regarding the circles of forces outside, Chen Shi had long sensed their existence, but was too lazy to expose them. Although they don't know each other very well, he doesn't want to know. If they dare to reach out, they will chop off their hands. I am in urgent need of points and bioenergy. No matter how small the flies are, they are still meat. Just killing them is equivalent to changing my destiny. And you can also generate a wave of bioenergy, so why not? Take action. You should take action. I'm scared to death. While Chen Shi was tasting coffee, the beautiful business manager had already done everything, binding personal information and bank account information. Chen Shi has successfully opened an account. After a while, it will be time for him to cut leaks. Sir, if you need anything, you can call me anytime. Okay, beauty, bye. Bye. The beauty sent Chen Shi to the door diligently. For such a rich and handsome customer, even if she had no business dealings, she would also like to get some other business worth hundreds of millions. The man in front of her is quite strong. There should be no problem in sending 1 billion or 80 million to her little sister. Luahua is ruthless. Chen Shi is not interested, his mouth has become too tight and he can't eat anymore. Driving into the Danube, Chen Shi drove all the way to the suburbs. It seemed like it was time for him to reap his rewards, right? As for the guys in the dark, they all followed suit and fell into Chen Zai's trap. Yan National Forest Park. This place is sparsely populated, and you can't see a single person for a long time, but now the silence of this park is broken by a group of people. This brat did it on purpose. He just wanted to lure us all here. What did he want to do? Natasha was particularly unhappy to be followed. Wait a minute, this guy's sense of smell is really keen. No matter what, we don't care what his purpose is, the Brotherhood will fight for it. Colossus, follow up and see what this guy wants to say. Professor X has also been remotely controlling the work of the X-Men, and he is a little worried. Squeak. Not long after driving here, Chen Shi braked and stopped. He slowly opened the car door and stopped. He leaned against the car door and watched the arrival of the group of people calmly. The people who followed got out of the car one after another. When they saw Chen Shi in this state, they were slightly frightened. This guy is too calm, and this calmness is a bit scary. Isn't he worried that they will do something bad to him? It would be fine if he were calm, but his eyes seemed to be looking at prey. They were prey and he was the hunter. Only the real masters of observation, Natasha and secretly Professor X, Charles, saw something different. It was a kind of indescribable superiority, and they couldn't understand it, as if they were not at the same latitude. It was also accompanied by an indescribable sense of pity. This feeling is so bad, it makes them feel creepy. Why are they looking at them like this? Chen Shi really feels like this. They are flesh and blood, but in his eyes, he is really the only player above them. And they are just a group of NPCs, and there are countless wild monsters. They provide him with experience, allowing him to grow and become stronger to pass the level. This kind of mentality of contempt for this group of people in the Marvel world is not really expanded by Chen Shi. He has not yet integrated into this world when he first arrived. When you look down at the world from God's perspective, and you know the development of this world clearly, will you look down on them? The answer is yes. Chen Shi didn't know what was going on in their hearts. He glanced at everyone with intriguing eyes before he spoke. Hey, except for the blonde woman with big, Shouldn't everyone else tell themselves their family status? I don't know anyone. It seems that except for the famous Natasha, a beauty in the Marvel world, everyone else is just familiar. Scarlet, who doesn't know her? She is the dream girl of many people, and her bath water can be auctioned for hundreds of thousands. It's just that the legs are a bit short, which affects the score, but the murder weapon can get extra points. But his indifferent attitude made Natasha feel pain for a while. I was the only one who co-authored it and was exposed. The depressed Natasha shut up. Anyway, none of these people were good, maybe she could still find something wrong. Colossus, find an opportunity to ask him why he wanted to kill Pyro. Professor. Understood, Professor. Colossus quietly replied to Professor X in his mind, then immediately took a step forward and said politely with a smile. Hello, respected strong man, I still don't know how to address you. Don't hit the smiling person with your hand, Colossus' attitude is absolutely fine. Chen Shi said lightly. Chen Shi, is he really from the Dragon Kingdom? They had speculated before that he must be from the Dragon Kingdom, forget about other countries. This is a unique and inexplicable self-confidence of a big country. But before they could continue to use their imagination, Chen Shi interrupted them. Did your Professor X tell you anything? What, does he know Professor X so well? It doesn't look like a wild mutant. Colossus was startled and thought of this in an instant. Does this guy still know about their mutants? They all know that Professor X must have told them. This guy with unknown friends and foes has something special. At this time, it was Colossus' turn to feel pain. Others knew them well, but they knew nothing about him. He said weakly, Professor. As soon as Chen Shi heard this, he understood that this was Charles's style and he was not easily tempted to kill. With his ability, he can really change the entire human race's view of mutants in an instant, but he firmly believes that souls are free and cannot be interfered with. Want to know? Shake your hand first. Chen Shi said something without thinking, which made everyone present collectively confused. What the hell? What kind of operation is this? I can't understand it at all. What is this requirement and what kind of hobby is it? But doubts remained, and Colossus still shook hands with him. Ding, the plot character Colossus has been detected. Do you want to extract the ability? This extraction requires 50,000 points. Extract. Ding, after deducting 50,000 points, I successfully extracted the variant ability of the carbon steel body of Colossus. Can I fuse it? Wait, we won't merge for now. Colossus, transformation into Iron Man is not bad. His body of steel is second only to the original adamantium alloy and vibranium. Chen Shi, who was in a good mood, looked at Iceman Bob again. Come and shake hands. Iceman pointed to his nose and asked in surprise. That's right, it's you. All right, the Iceman shrugged, just hold it, it's not a big piece of meat. The two just shook hands casually. Ding, the plot character Iceman Bob has been detected. Do you want to extract Iceman's ability? This extraction requires 3 million points. Extract. Even if it's 3 million points, Chen Shi doesn't care. This kind of Omega-level mutant ability is just something that movie special effects cannot express. The pinnacle performance in the comics is that Iceman can directly freeze the entire galaxy, making it impossible to escape even time and space. Of course, this road is long and cannot be achieved in a short time. Ding, 3 million points have been deducted and Iceman Bob's Omega-level freezing ability has been successfully extracted. Do you want to fuse it? No fusion for now. It's great to have an Omega-level ability. After receiving the benefit, he unconsciously glanced at the Brotherhood and others. Chen's eyes' weird smile naturally cannot escape the eyes of others. Why not just shake hands? As for being so happy. Could this person be a fool? Is it meaningful for us to fight for a fool? The guys like the Red Devil and the Toad Man on the Brotherhood side were a little retreating. Boss Red Devil, how about we withdraw? This guy may not be very smart, maybe he is a pervert. If this pervert kills John Pyro, wouldn't that be normal? He is a pervert. Does a pervert still need a reason to kill? Toadman's ability is not very good, it can be said that he is very poor, anyone can bully him, his key ability is disgusting, and he is ugly. All kinds of reasons combined make him timid and inferior. Whoever treats him better will be treated 10 times better. At this moment, he felt that this guy with a weird smile was too scary. What if one day he broke out and killed someone? The more he thought about it, the more he became afraid. The more you don't want something to happen, the more it will come to you. How many of you guys want to shake hands? Upon hearing this, the Toad Man was so frightened that he shook his head like a rattle. No, no, you must be marking me. If I shake hands with you, I will be followed by you. You are a perverted murderer. What the hell? What the hell? Chen Shi was so shocked that his scalp was numb. What the hell is going on? When did I become a pervert? Can I be held legally responsible for speaking nonsense? Chen Shi kept rolling his eyes and glanced disdainfully at this cowardly toad who was greedy for life and afraid of death. Not only the Red Devil felt embarrassed, but fellow mutants Xiaogang and Iceman also felt embarrassed. How can you be a villain if you are so timid? All of Magneto's men are like this. The Red Devil, who couldn't stand it, immediately took a step forward, stood in front of the Toad Man, and stretched out his hand in embarrassment. Sorry, this guy didn't take his medicine this morning. Hello, I'm the Red Devil. Hello, Chen Shi. Chen Shi smiled and shook hands with him, his eyes almost shining. There is only one teleportation ability in the movie Red Devil, which is a bit badly weakened, but it doesn't matter, teleportation is enough. Who hasn't been a middle school boy, and who hasn't fantasized about teleportation, invisibility, and perspective? These are the three most fantasy superpowers. Ahem, being invisible. Naturally, it goes to the three most important places in a man's heart. I understand them all. Not to mention the clairvoyance thing, no one in adolescence has ever thought about it, so don't think wrongly. Chen Shi just wanted to use perspective to bet on stones, not to see cherries or grasslands. Teleportation is purely for coolness. It is also used for running away. For example, when you go to someone's vault, you are not allowed to run away. At the moment of shaking hands, the sound that made Chen Zai's heartbeat faster came. Ding! Test the plot character Red Devil to see if he can extract the Red Devil's ability. This extraction requires 300,000 points. Extract. Chen Zai's voice was slightly excited. It's coming. It's coming. Ding! 300,000 points have been deducted and the Red Devil's teleportation ability has been successfully extracted. Do you want to fuse it? No fusion for now. Even though he was thinking about it in his heart, Chen Shi still forced himself to calm down. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. No matter how long the system space passes, the outside world only passes for less than a second. After obtaining the Red Devil's ability, Chen Zai's goal has been completely achieved, and no one else wants to see it. At this time, he smiled with satisfaction. He was in a good mood and didn't mind answering Colossus' questions. It's like this. I'm just a timid person. Pyro scared me that day. I was afraid that he would retaliate against me, so I gave him a ride. What? That's it. That's it. Colossus was speechless for a while. What's the reason? Isn't this nonsense? If someone scares you, you kill them. From now on, others will avoid you and scare you to death. Isn't that too overbearing? Colossus, ask him if he is willing to go back to school with us. Don't let him wander around outside. Seeing Chen Zai's seriousness, Charles guessed that's what he really thought. But he knew that Chen Shi was looking down on them from above and would not take anyone to heart at all. Have you ever seen anyone who cares about the lives of ants? He felt that Chen Zai's personality must have changed drastically after he awakened his abilities, and his powerful abilities made him inflated. Understood, Professor. Colossus agreed, then continued to look at Chen Shi, and said seriously, Sir, can you come back to the X-Men with us? That is our home. Go back to the mutant school. How is it possible? Although there are all kinds of strange abilities there, how does it fit with your identity? Go to a mutant school to be a rat. Then why would he come to this world to be a rat? There is no room for rats anywhere else. So he decisively refused. I'm sorry, I don't like to hide. A real man should face the bleak life head on. A real warrior should face the bleak life. What, you mean we are cowards? Aha, Chen Shi was so direct and shrugged immediately. The meaning was obvious, isn't it true for you? Colossus is a straight man and got angry immediately. Okay, sir, you are very strong, but we X-Men are not vegetarians, I'm sorry. After saying that, he transformed into a small steel cannon and rushed forward. When he saw this, the Iceman couldn't lag behind. I saw an ice ball as big as a table tennis ball appearing in front of the Iceman at some point, ready to go. Is this the ability of Omega? Creating ice out of thin air and ignoring the law of conservation of energy is unscientific. Even though the other party had already taken action, Chen Shi remained calm. Although Colossus was extremely powerful and had unparalleled defense, his speed was not fast. Chen Shi moved sideways slightly, taking his time to dodge his first wave of attacks. While calmly facing Colossus's full punch, he stared at the ice puck that was flying towards him. In the blink of an eye, the ice ball got bigger and bigger in Chen's eyes pupils. It's close. It's close. It seems to be under control. The Iceman's performance was really poor, and his control ability was really poor. Before he could get close, the pucks were controlled by Chen Shi. Crush it for me, Chen Shi shouted loudly, and the ice balls shattered. You are also an ice mutant. Iceman was shocked, pointed at Chen Shi with wide eyes and exclaimed, his eyes full of disbelief. Wrong, I can do anything. Chen Shi laughed loudly and pretended to show off. Now he doesn't know how to do it, but sooner or later he will know how to do everything. Oh, it's a pretense. Natasha, who was hiding aside, curled her lips in disdain. In her opinion, Chen Shi looked so deserving of a beating. HMPH. Pretending. Ice is so popular. He tricked me. Iceman was defeated, and Colossus had no choice but to bite the bullet and fight alone. Boom, boom, boom. Gangolishi and Chen Shi exchanged a few straight punches with each other, and they were evenly matched. The Frost Giant royal family's physique is really good, and they will not be inferior to the tank of Colossus. Chen Shi thought it was nothing, but the onlookers opened their mouths in surprise. Oh, fuck, isn't he a long-range mage? Yeah, this is a melee fighter again. There's something about this guy. He tricked me again. No one could have imagined that Chen Shi, who they all thought was a long-range mage, was now a melee mage with both offense and defense. At this time, they suddenly discovered that Chen Shi withdrew from the battlefield in one stride and shouted at the Brotherhood. Hey, will your brothers help me? The enemy of your enemy is your friend, have you forgotten? What a trick to divert disaster to the east. The Red Devil was a little moved. Wouldn't it be more powerful for a villain like Chen Shi to join their brotherhood? Red Devil, wait a minute, this guy just wants to provoke a conflict between us and the X-Men. He doesn't know what to pay attention to. Just as the Red Devil wanted to help, he was stopped by a hedgehog man with disgusting barbs all over his body. Chen Shi hadn't noticed yet, but at first glance, Marvel's Dasha was actually better than the hedgehog. The next second, Chen Shi moved. What? Everyone was dazzled for a while, and then heard a scream. Looking again, the hedgehog who just looked like he was the best in the world in labor and management had fallen into a pool of blood. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.